Sparta, New Jersey. The time, the regular meeting is opened at 7:05 p.m. All council meetings are now live streamed and can be viewed at the following link, www.youtube.com/SpartaTWP/streams. Adequate notice of this meeting was provided to the public and the press on January 5th, 2024 by delivering to the press and posting on the township website a copy of the notice. Madam Clerk, may we have a roll call?
Councilman Quinn.
Here.
Councilman Chiarello.
I am present.
Deputy Mayor Blumetti.
Here.
Mayor Clark.
Here. All right, let's salute the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all. So, good evening, everyone. Happy spring. Thank you for coming out today. We're going to start with a presentation by Marjorie Strozel. I know her through the Historical Commission, but she's going to speak on that as well as a program called The Vial of Life. So, Marjorie, I think probably the best thing for you to do is come sit at this table, and hopefully the microphone works, and please tell us about the Vial of Life program and also the trolley program.
Thank you. I have our poster, Vial of Life. Here. That's in the front of the building. Okay, thank you. All right, my name is Marjorie Strozel, 96 West Shore Trail, and Sparta Women's Club initiated the Vial of Life as a community improvement project with full support of the Mayor and Emergency Council and Emergency Services. The New Jersey State Federation of Women's Club designated this effort as a top community improvement project in New Jersey for 2018-2020. The General Federation of Women's Clubs named it as the first initiative of their Home Life Department. Since 6,000 Vial of Life kits were distributed in and around Sparta, and we have been instrumental in assisting other municipalities in startups. Most on council are aware of this project. For those who are new, I was invited to speak, and it's the best time to re-energize Vial of Life, as many new families have moved here. When minutes are, and even seconds count in a medical emergency, the Vial of Life kit speaks for you when you can't speak for yourself. It provides all the information a first responder needs to quickly and carefully care for you. What is the Vial of Life? So everybody, it's a little kit like this, okay? And how is it utilized? Well, the kit is, I'll show you what we have inside here. There's a little red decal in the kit, and you place that on the front of your residence and alerting first responders, if called, that emergency information is readily available on the front of their refrigerator. Next, complete the medical information sheets that are in there. There's the one, you can make copies. You need one for every member of the family. And these are the questions that the first responders would ask you in a medical emergency. It would be when the police come, the ambulance, if you need the paramedics, and then also at in the ER. These are all the questions they'll ask you. So you complete this form and then place it in your baggie, and then put that on the front of the refrigerator. Some refrigerators don't take, you can't put anything here, but just nearby, close by. And what information is requested on this form? Well, it's all the information that responders need when they come to you in a medical emergency. So it's your medical and mental health conditions, your medications, dosages, allergies, difficulties in hearing and vision, your blood type, names of doctors, health directives, and emergency contacts. So who may benefit from this kit? anyone, any age. Those with medical or mental health conditions, or none at all. They should know that if you're not taking any medication. Those living alone, seniors, households with special needs, child or adult, those employing a babysitter or adult care provider. Anyone may experience a medical emergency at any time, and it's really important for responders to know if you have no medical problems and take no medication. So all households in Sparta may receive a free kit. They're available here in the town hall, at the police station, the library, and the pharmacy. And if you'd like to request a kit, you can email at SWC, that's Sparta Women's Club, vialoflife@gmail.com. The Vial of Life is funded by Sparta Women's Club, a 501c3 organization, in addition to so many generous individuals, businesses, community organizations. And this project was actually considered on September 11, 2017, after my elderly neighbors at the time had a medical emergency and the husband passed away. They knew that I had been an EMT previously and depended on me in medical emergencies for years. Afterwards, I approached our police chief, ambulance, fire services, township manager, mayor, and council. All fully approved my starting the Vial of Life. Then I enlisted the Sparta Women's Club. Community help was enormous. It would take another 5 minutes to include everyone who helped. Sparta Township even acknowledged our efforts with a proclamation, and we're grateful to have partnered with you and countless others. And as we energize this project, we have some printing needs, and we gladly enlist any help that anyone would like to give us and support us. So this project may save a life. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I have kits for each of the members here, each of mayor and council. Let me just get my next subject.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, is the information that's on the refrigerator, is that like in a QR code? So, I mean, if someone has some hesitancy printing confidential medical information on the refrigerator, because if they have a party or something, they may not want their neighbors reading their entire medical history. How is that displayed on the refrigerator?
Well, usually it's the front of the refrigerator or tucked around the side. It's called Vial of Life because years ago, if the form was rolled up in a like a toothpaste holder, a little tube, that's why it was called Vial of Life. I learned about it when I was with the Junior Women's Club many years ago down below. I came to Ogdensburg, to the county. I was deputy borough clerk, and I joined the first aid squad because they were very short of people, short of help. And I saw immediately how people were having problems. You go into a house and say the woman is down. You say to the husband, what is her medical history? What are her problems? And he would say, oh, maybe something about her heart. Does she have any allergies? Yes, she does, but I can't remember what they are. So I started that years ago, but then, so many years ago, it sort of fell off. But when my neighbor got sick, then, I rethought about that to start it again. But as you say, you can tuck it away. You could put it in your refrigerator as well. So that tube used to be put in the refrigerator. And if I would go on a call, then you're rummaging through, people say, oh, I keep it in the butter, I keep it in the freezer, in the vegetable. So that's why later they said they put it in a baggie on the front of the refrigerator, the BioLife company.
Oh, great. And LIFE stands for life-saving information for emergencies, right?
Yeah,
That's
it's
what the
just-
acronym stands
It's
for?
Vial of Life, VOL.
Okay.
Vial of Life.
Got you. Thank you. And I encourage everyone to do that. I think that even if you don't want to fill out the forms for yourself, think about what your loved ones would want for you. And they would want you to get the quickest medical attention and the best attention as soon as possible. So I think it's a fantastic program, and I hope everyone participates. So thank you.
Thank you.
And we also have you here in your other hat. So put on your Historic Commission hat now.
Also, I brought for mayor and council little postcards besides Viola Life kits, old-fashioned postcards that the Historical Society has. And I started the Historical Society 22 years ago. Can't believe it. So this is just an idea of mine, a trolley idea. We have such a very charming town here, and I often thought, like Cape May and all, they have the old-fashioned trolleys. So I have a handout for each one of you, and just to describe the idea, and I have them in bullets. Town-sponsored old-fashioned trolley car tour by secured maybe 2 to 3 weekends per year. Parking could be provided at the municipal parking lot, the VFW, or another area. And stops on the Van Kirk could stop at the Van Kirk Homestead and Museum and at historical marker sites, say the Boardwalk, White Deer Plaza, the Presbyterian Church and the graveyard there, the train station, and places of interest. Trolley tour guide or Sparta Historical Society volunteer could be on board, perhaps in costume, and narrate as the trolley makes a brief stop at each location. Create a brochure with pictures of each building and site, the address, the map, and using talents of local students' artworks and photography. We would list some restaurants or shops on the back and would seek discount offers from participants. Maybe St. Moritz Industry Restaurant, which has an amazing historical artifacts there alone, or the Country Club Boardwalk Restaurant, the Plaza Candy Shop, and many more. And then when the tour is complete, we would return the visitors to the parking sites. Using their maps, visitors may return to any site of interest to them and/or have lunch in town at places listed on the brochure. And Sparta Historical Society could take reservations for a nominal fee. We're asking this as a town-sponsored event, and as details and specifics were needed to investigate the cost of obtaining a trolley for this, the cost was not determined, as municipalities may be receiving special pricing. And there was a lot of detailed information that was required in order to try to get a price for this. But our startup aim would be for the 250th anniversary of the American Revolution. I know I was on the committee for the Sparta anniversary celebrations, which didn't really fully take place, only I think the first day. So maybe there would be funding there. And I think later options to consider would probably be with, start with Sparta and Sparta sites and locations first, and possibly later extend it to and partner with neighboring historic sites in other towns. So that's just my idea, and we'd love to get together if, you would be interested in taking on this trolley tour.
Thank you. I think it's an excellent idea. I think that doing it in conjunction with events that are town-wide, like Sparta Day, July 4th, Memorial Day, when you already have kind of a confluence of people gathered about, I think, listen, we're all proud of Sparta. We live here, we raise our families here, we put our money, our love, and our treasure here. And so it makes sense to celebrate it and share that with everyone. And I think you alluded to it, and Councilman Chiarello has been working very hard on the Revolution 250 committee. I think I would prefer not to wait. I think that we could do this sooner rather than later, but I think it's a great idea, and it's just a question of figuring out the funding and the logistics, but we have people who can figure that out, and we already have if you haven't been to the Van Kirk Museum, I very much encourage you to do so. They do a fabulous job. They have all kinds of programs, and it's just important to know the history of where you live, right? We always learn about history from books, and it can be so far removed, but there's something when you can learn the history of where you actually reside and actually go to a historical place. I mean, we have Indian artifacts, we have all kinds of history in this town, and the more you understand the history, the more I think you appreciate the need to preserve it, the need to care for it, and the need to care for your community. So I think it's a great idea, and I know I'm probably speaking for my council. I mean, they all share the concern that if we can celebrate Sparta, let's do it. So thank you.
So Marjorie, again, great idea. I think this is awesome. I agree. And if you remember, a couple of years ago, we were trying to get something for the 175th, to your point, and we were going to do it through the grave site because there's all the history and everything there. I think a great thing to do here may be to hook you up with the Business Development Committee and get some businesses behind this to see if maybe they would like to jump on and in the form of being sponsors. Maybe there's something that we could do there to, strike some kind of agreement, because I think business owners would benefit from this greatly as well. So maybe we can get you with Councilman Hertzberg. Dan, I think you're also on the Business Development Committee, correct?
That's correct.
So I think maybe that's a great next step to bring this thing forward. So if you can reach out to Dan and Josh, or actually Roxanne could probably tell you when the dates are of those meetings, it's probably a great first place to go to see if they're willing to sponsor it too.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you.
Sure.
And when I had looked up some of the so-called trolleys, they were buses, just modern buses today. But I think that a charming-looking trolley would suit our town.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you so
All
much.
right.
Marjorie, thank you for being here and all the wonderful work you and the Historical Society have done for so many years, and also talking about the Vial of Life. So that's excellent. So thank you for your time.
Oh,
And,
thank you.
I was going to ask as well, wonderful idea about the trolleys. I think we could definitely benefit from that. I think people would love it. I was going to ask you, besides maybe from funding or sponsorship, do you have any other ideas or immediate needs for what would help move this to the next step? Is it sitting down to think about logistics or?
For Vial of Life, we can use some help in making copies of
Yeah.
of this form. We're going to put together 1,000 kits. We have people ready to go as soon as we get enough material, so we could use help to print 1,000 of these.
Okay. And about the trolley also, what about the trolley idea?
And the trolley, well, it's just all in beginning stages. It's just all ideas. We wanted to put them out and see what you thought and get together and, develop something. I also want to say Renee Clark is here. She's our newly elected president of the Historical Society.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Good. Well, wonderful. I can't wait to see where this goes. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have two proclamations. Proclamations are where we proclaim the things that are very important to this town and this community. This next proclamation actually hits home for me pretty directly. With the support of a fellowship and the grace of God, I'll have 20 years sober in November of this year. And so Alcohol Awareness Month really hits home for me because I've seen it. People who take care of themselves and work honestly toward recovery are modern day miracles. And so, but first you have to be aware of the problem before you can fix it. So tonight we're going to celebrate Alcohol Awareness Month, and I will read the proclamation. Whereas statistics have shown that long-term alcohol use can negatively impact your body and mind and is the most common type of substance abuse disorder in the U.S., and whereas over 178,000 people die each year in the United States from alcohol-related causes and incidents, including motor vehicle accidents, In 2021, 13,384 people died in alcohol-impaired driving traffic deaths, a 14% increase from 2020. And whereas adults ages 26 and older who begin drinking before age 15 are 3.5 times more likely to report having an alcohol use disorder than those who waited until age 21 or older to begin drinking. About 2.3 million adolescents aged 12 to 17 drank alcohol in the last 30 days, and about 1.2 million adolescents ages 12 to 17 binge drink within the last 30 days. And whereas underage alcohol use may result in death or serious injury, suicides, alcohol poisonings, drownings, sexual assaults, poor athletic and academic performance, the typical American will see 100,000 beer commercials before he or she turns 18. And whereas the month of April was established as Alcohol Awareness Month by the National Council on Alcoholism and Drug Dependence, to ensure that families and communities have the resources, information, and option available to control the crisis of alcoholism, and whereas it is imperative that we join forces with other individuals and agencies to embrace those affected within our community and provide paths to counseling and proper support in an effort to confront and combat this issue collectively and with empathy. Now therefore, be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Sparta that the month of April be proclaimed Alcohol Awareness Month and encourage all citizens, government agencies, organizations, healthcare providers, and research institutions help prevent underage consumption and adult misuse of alcohol and continue to raise alcohol awareness to help people live longer, healthier lives. And tonight, to accept this proclamation, we have Laura Berger-Montross, who is from the Center for Prevention. Is she with us tonight? Fantastic. So if you would, in accepting this, also tell folks a little bit about what the Center for Prevention does.
Stand. Can I stand?
There's a standing mic.
Hello. Hello, everybody. Thank you for this. This is really amazing. I'm Laura. I'm with the Center for Prevention and Counseling. One, we would like to just thank you guys for honoring alcohol awareness. April is being Alcohol Awareness Month. At the Center for Prevention and Counseling, we do prevention, counseling, and recovery, all related to substance misuse and addiction. So I'm actually from our prevention team. We really work to increase protective factors in the community throughout Sussex County and to mitigate or lessen risk factors. So one, I have to give props to Sparta because throughout several different sectors of your community, you guys have so much going on and really involve us in your work, are supporters of our work. From the Sparta Alliance with our school programs and our community programs. I know we have several going on in the schools. We also have an upcoming event for the community that's mental health first aid. Our law enforcement through really everything. If we reach out, they're more than willing. We actually do a lot for Alcohol Awareness Month. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm really bending. I won't be too long. Oh, no. Hello. Sorry. So we do a lot for Alcohol Awareness Month to recognize it. I think the proclamation did a really good job of summing a lot of it up. But I will just say that we know that the younger a youth is that starts using drugs, the more likely they are to have a lifelong addiction. So addressing it at a younger age is so important for us. Our recovery team responds actually to the hospital for opioid overdoses. And the program expanded pretty recently in the last 2 years that they can respond really to any drug use if the doctor or a nurse suspects anything or if they go in are intoxicated. And so our recovery team actually responds now by like fourfold, a lot more to alcohol than any other drug, right? We know that our youth, it's the number one drug of choice. We do a survey, I was sharing with Jeff earlier, we do a survey every 2 years in the county with about 3,000 of our youth, 6th to 12th grade. And it's all risk factors and drug use. And through the work and the support of our communities and really addressing it in many different ways, we've seen a decrease in alcohol use among our youth. So lower than the nation, but also just decreasing in over the past 20 years. So thank you guys again, and we hope to continue this work, to keep that trend ongoing. So that's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Laura.
And we do have information too, like if you have a family friend, we have a hotline, actually, a 24/7 hotline for anybody that is seeking help, has a question. So that's with our recovery team. Yes.
Thank you. And I said this last year, and I will say it again. If you know someone who suffers from drug or alcohol addiction and wants to get help, part of recovery, the real foundation point is that the only way you stay recovered is if you help someone else. And so with that, people know how to get a hold of me, and it will remain confidential. If you know someone that wants help going to meetings, what is recovery about, I'm more than happy to talk to them. I've been through it. I've seen the miracles that happen. I mean, people who come in and their lives are completely destroyed when they come in, and within a year sober, they have rebuilt their lives, they have families, and so you will really witness a miracle for someone who has recovered. You can recover from this. It's not recovering, it's recovered. And so it is possible. So I encourage anyone to please reach out if you want help. Thank you. And we have another proclamation, which my deputy mayor will handle, which is an issue close to his heart and his mind. So with that, Councilman Blumetti.
Thank you, Mayor. So it's my privilege to read the Arbor Day proclamation during Earth Week. So whereas the first Arbor Day was proclaimed in 1872 in order to foster public awareness about the value of trees, and this year marks the 152nd anniversary of Arbor Day, and let it be known that the city of Sparta, county of Sussex, state of New Jersey, encourages all businesses, institutions, organizations, and individuals to celebrate Arbor Day and commit to caring for trees and the natural environment. Whereas all people across all demographics have a right to enjoy a healthy, sustainable environment with economic growth and opportunity, and whereas we are all caretakers of our collective community, national and international environments, and have an obligation to do our part to preserve their beauty and resources. And whereas it is important that we collectively come together within Sparta Township and beyond and be mindful, aware, and engaged in tree planting, maintenance, and conservation initiatives. And whereas the celebration of Arbor Day in Sparta Township seeks to encourage all of its citizens to seek ways to improve the local environment and become more aware of and engaged in tree planting and preservation efforts. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Township Council of the Township of Sparta does hereby proclaim April 26th, 2024 as Arbor Day and encourages all residents to honor this observance with the appropriate activities and programs. I see we have some Environmental Commission members here, so I'd like to invite them to come up and accept this.
Hi, everyone.
You can pick it up.
Okay. Thank you for having us and for reading this proclamation today. The Environmental Commission is going to be hosting an event this Friday with our students from Sparta Middle School in the Sparta Glen to replace trees that were lost to the emerald ash borer. So we're just thankful for all the township support in helping to bring this event forward. And it should be a really great day that involves a number of different partner organizations and students from Sparta. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I should also recognize that speaking there was Christine Rogers, and also accepting their proclamation plaque is our chairwoman, Kim Knoll.
And on behalf of all the council, thank you for all the work that you do in the Environmental Commission. I know it can be very demanding, very scientifically rigorous. It's a lot of effort is put into that commission, and it's completely volunteer. So thank you on behalf of everyone. Appreciate all the work that you do. Next up, we have to approve some minutes. So the first minutes that I need a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes dated November 28th, 2023. And I will remind Mayor Blumetti to abstain. He was not present for that meeting, so you're not allowed to vote, Dean.
Actually, I was.
You were there?
Yeah, I believe Councilman, I think Dan and Josh were not there for that one.
Okay.
If I'm correct, right?
I don't
28th?
think I missed any meeting.
November 28th, 2023.
I attended one virtually because I had COVID.
Yeah, my notes say you and Josh.
Yeah, so do mine.
I missed a meeting?
It was the one right after the League of Municipalities. I don't know if you were there. Don't think so. Can we hold off
All right, we'll go to,
and confirm?
okay, why don't you, we have another meeting minute. So may I have a motion to approve the February 13th, 2024 regular meeting minutes?
I'll make a motion that we accept the February 13th, 2024 regular meeting minutes.
May I have a second, please?
I will second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And the motion carries.
Can you just give me a moment here? I'm looking at the. Oh. Sorry. I need one more moment. 26 seconds, I promise.
And I can look in my book from last year.
Well, it
Actually,
should say
sorry.
right in the minute.
Yeah,
in the-
I have Neil and Josh missing the 28th.
Yeah, I see. Mayor Shirella led the assembly to salute the
Yes,
flag, so
yeah.
I must have saluted the flag. Yeah, that's when Jerry Yonkers was here.
Yeah, so I think I have Neil and Josh actually missing
was-
that one.
Yeah, Clark and Hertzberg, yeah.
Yeah. Just testing you, Dan.
Thank you. I don't miss many meetings.
So,
I think I missed only one.
So,
I don't remember
in that
missing,
case,
but, okay. May I have a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of November 28th, 2023?
Being present at that meeting, I will vote that, I make a motion that we approve those meeting minutes from November 28,
May I have a
2023.
second, please?
being present, I will second that.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Abstain. Still carries. The November 28th, 2023 meeting minutes are approved. We're now up to Manager Jim Zepp's report. May I have the manager's report? Mr. Zepp?
It's okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
Sure.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and Sparta residents. As many have heard, the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection has launched a pilot project. This project will provide a limited amount of free bear-resistant trash receptacles to 6 municipalities, one being Sparta Township, whom they have identified with elevated numbers of bear incidents. The New Jersey DEP has provided the township with a list of targeted areas. When the delivery date of those containers is confirmed, next week, residents in those targeted areas will receive correspondence from the township notifying that they are located within that area, which will explain how they can retrieve their containers. Unless you are the recipient of that correspondence, you are not eligible to take part in this pilot program. The targeted locations were based upon those complaints reported to the New Jersey DEP and the New Jersey DEP Fish and Wildlife. I know this has created a lot of commotion. I spoke to DEP and everyone thought there was these free receptacles going out to everybody, and unfortunately that wasn't the case because it's a finite pilot program. It's limited in its numbers. It doesn't mean it won't eliminate it, but they're going to monitor it, and there may be other areas eligible for these receptacles. As a reminder, the annual free paper shredding event is scheduled for Saturday, May 4th at 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. here at the Town Hall. The event is rain or shine and is open to all Sparta residents, business, and nonprofits. Flyers are located out in the foyer with more information on the township website. In the Parks and Recreation Department, the Sparta Annual Trout Derby is scheduled for Saturday, May 18th at Station Park. The event is being offered in partnership with the Sparta Municipal Alliance Resource Team, and we thank them for their support. In our Community Development Department, the staff in the zoning, planning, and code enforcement have been busy in the first quarter, resulting in the above-average amounts of customer service. An example of the amount of work provided consists of the following: 142 zoning permits, 65 code enforcement issues, 25 active or approved site plan waiver applications, 17 active planning board applications, 9 active zoning board applications, and 26 septic applications that have been facilitated in coordination with the Sussex County Health Department. Lastly, tomorrow we celebrate Administrative Professionals Day, and I would like to thank all municipal staff for their hard work and dedication to the township and its residents. Chief McCarrick will now read his portion of the mayor's report. This concludes my report. Thank you, Mayor, Council, and Sparta residents.
Thank you, Manager Zepp. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. If I could just piggyback off of what Marjorie had to say about the vial life, it's very good to have. 99.9% of the time when somebody calls 911, police officers are first on scene. And with these medical conditions, a lot of people are not in the mood to talk to you when they're not feeling very well. So having those questions answered for our officers first on scene who could relay that information to EMS and paramedics makes it go a lot quicker. So I recommend getting those filled out. And also Laura from the Center for Prevention, they work great with us on everything that we do. We try to include them, and no question, they come right out and help us out. So we appreciate them very much. Last week was National Telecommunications Week, and I would like to take a moment to thank all of our dispatchers for both that are both full-time and part-time. If you don't know what a dispatcher is, when you call 911 or you call the police station, that's who's answering the phone and taking your emergency and taking it seriously. Our department provides dispatch service for Ogdensburg, Franklin, Stanhope, Hamburg, and of course Sparta. And this is for police, fire, and EMS services. I believe we have some of the most talented dispatchers in the state. There's a lot of experience there, and they are highly trained and simply perform to the best of their ability on somebody's worst day. They remain very calm, collective. They have the information. They get the resources rolling as fast as possible. And I'm just going to give you an example. We have all talked about, we're all familiar with the earthquake a couple weeks ago. Dispatcher Sorensen, who has over 20 years of dispatching experience, and Dispatcher Gutierrez, who has, I believe, over 15 years experience, were two seasoned dispatchers working that day. Took over 100 calls in 15 minutes. Answered every single one of them professionally, even individuals calling and arguing that it wasn't an earthquake or wanting to know how an earthquake is caused. Politely, they said, Google it and move on. So, but they did a great job.
We don't have a seismologist on staff.
They did a great job, and those are just two of the many dispatchers who do a great job for us every single day. Great team effort, and they keep us safe just as much as our fire, police, and EMS. So thank you, and we appreciate all them. Also last week was National Animal Control Officer Week, and I think a lot of us know we have one of the most famous animal control officers in the state, Don Critchlaw. Great individual. I got to mention Don. He's a truly invested employee. He loves animals. He's been animal control officer for 33 years, 23 of them in Sparta Township. And he's simply invested because he loves his job. He's a guy that comes in every day with a smile on his face. And for our officers out there on scene with an animal issue, when he shows up, it's very relieving. He's got the gift with animals, and just want to recognize him and thank him for all he does in his many years of service.
He is very good at that.
Very good.
He also has the best hairdo of
Yeah, he
any
should be on-
man in
If
Sparta.
anybody should be on the cover of a romance novel, it's that guy.
Got the best hair. Speaking about alcohol awareness, prom season is coming up. I mentioned a couple meetings ago that we had officers attend a MAD, which is Mothers Against Drunk Driving conference and some training. We were able to get some good contacts down there. Oftentimes, our officers around this time during prom season give instruction or information to students at our schools. Our traffic bureau reached out to MAD, and they started this new presentation, which is called a MAD promposal. And what it is, it's a 30-minute presentation designed to engage high school juniors or seniors in the dialogue of underage drinking, cannabis, and medication use with impaired driving. They challenge the participants of substance use among their peers, particularly around prom time, like I said, and they empower them with alternatives that will ensure their prom is a special night they can and will remember. Students will hear from someone who has been tragically impacted by underage drinking or impaired driving and will have the opportunity to accept MAD's promposal and say yes to substance-free prom. The presentation is led by trained and certified MAD facilitators and ultimately aims to prevent underage substance use and reduce injuries and deaths amongst youth due to underage substance use and impaired driving and driving and riding with impaired drivers. So this is a brand new initiative by MAD that was created and was presented for the first time ever in the state right here in Sparta at Pope John High School this week. They are also presenting at the Sussex County Votech High School in May, and our traffic officers and our school resource officers was involved with that presentation. So very proud of that. Last note, myself, I attended an OEM conference last week as a township coordinator in Atlantic City. I took a very interesting class on tornadoes. A lot of people, when they think of Sparta, they don't think of tornadoes, but we don't think of earthquakes either. And, we had an earthquake. With weather patterns, you never know what you're going to get nowadays. So took the opportunity to take a good class yesterday, got a lot of good information, more so for families to prepare themselves prior to a weather event, which I'll be putting out on our department's social media websites and also our township website. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief McCarrick.
If I can build on the report real briefly. So two things. One is that on this eve of Administrative Professionals Day, one thing I've learned in the 5.5 or so years I've been sitting here, that how hardworking and dedicated and how wonderful our administrative staff is here. So I want to echo my own appreciation for what they do. And secondly, along with the dispatchers, not only is it the worst day of the caller's life, but having been in a ride along, having had that opportunity last year, which I'm still very grateful for. The officer going to that event is also relying on the dispatcher to relate to him or her what I'm getting into. The officer's line could also be on the line, and not only you're trying to keep both sides calm, but you're trying to get that person's in the middle of getting information to both sides. The officer needs to know what he or she is walking into. So it's a very difficult job. You got to walk a very good line, and we have an excellent staff.
Yeah. And before we make a motion for the manager's report, I do want to, pardon the pun, but bear down a little bit on the trash cans. Just to be clear, we meaning Sparta Township had no role in deciding which areas of the township got decided would be qualified for the targeted area. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, the DEP did that, and we're simply following the instructions of the DEP.
We agreed to participate in the study with them.
But we didn't decide the areas, they did.
Correct.
Got it. Okay, thank you. All right, with that, may I have a motion to accept the manager's report?
I'll make a motion, we accept the manager's report.
May I have a second?
I will second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The manager's report is approved. Thank you, Manager Zepp and Chief McCarrick. We are now at the first public comment period. This public comment period is limited to items that are not on the agenda. So before you come to the microphone to speak, you may want to take a look at the agenda, and if something you want to talk about is on the agenda, now's not the time. There'll be a time later in the session to speak on that. So again, this is now limited to items that are not on the agenda.
Kimberly Knoll, 9 South Haywards Road, Sparta, New Jersey. I'm the chairperson for the Environmental Commission, as I mentioned before, and I wanted to give you an update on the open space and recreation plan. We've been working actively already with the Nature Concern or the Land Conservancy of New Jersey. We have a regular subcommittee set up. We've started to collect historical documents, and they've done one site visit. We've also started to meet with different stakeholders, including the Historical Society, who was here earlier, different folks who are maybe experts on the trails, other stakeholders such as the Recreation Parks and Recreation, of course. So those meetings have started to also happen. On June 13th, we're having a formal visioning process so that anybody from the public, anybody in Sparta who is interested, even other townships who are interested, that would be a good time to come and share any input that you'd like. I will definitely mention that's not going to be the only time that input can be provided. It's just our first meeting that we're having. So that's June 14th at 7 o'clock.
Is it June 13th or 14th?
Oh, I'm
Thursday?
sorry. Thursday, the 13th.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Kim, the Rec Advisory Committee is meeting in May, so if you want to come to that with this.
That'd be great.
You can reach out to me, and I'm happy to extend the invitation to you,
Sure, that'd be great.
okay?
All right, thank you for the update.
Move the microphone a bit closer, 'cause it's hard to-
Thank you.
I don't sit still very well.
Thank you. First of all, thank all of you for your service to our community. As a 9-year veteran of another school board, I understand how much you give, and we really appreciate it.
Before we begin, if you,
I'm
this is just
sorry.
perfunctory, but you do need to state your name and address. for the
Yes,
record.
it's
Thank
Bill,
you.
Bill Snyder, 14 Oak Parkway.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. I'm speaking on behalf of a group of 10 Oak Parkway homeowners, of which I am one. We also have 3 of our neighbors here with us, if you could raise your hands. In light of the short-term renter-related issues that are occurring throughout Sparta, I'd like to read a brief statement outlining our neighborhood's current challenge and our concerns. Recently, a fully operational commercial for-profit Airbnb business was established in our residential Oak Parkway neighborhood. The Airbnb host operating this business is located in Florida. I want to clearly delineate that we are talking about a commercial business operation versus a Sparta homeowner who may want to rent their home through Airbnb for a limited time per year, perhaps to help them offset expenses. Last year, one of our neighbors sold their home to a real estate company operating as an LLC. We were assured by the neighbor that the intention of the real estate company was to use the property for a long-term rental with the possibility of the owner or owners building a new home for themselves to live. They guessed at approximately 5 to 6 years from that time. We were skeptical then, and our skepticism has been warranted. Unfortunately, as we learned 2 weeks ago, this is a commercial business operation. The listing can be viewed on the Airbnb website, with bookings already extending into July 2024. Many renter amenities are advertised on the site that are in direct violation of Lake Mohawk Country Club's short-term renter policy. LMCC is presently addressing these issues with the owners. Even more telling that this property is being operated and marketed as a commercial for-profit business is how the owner or owners themselves describe the property in their advertising on the Airbnb site, even to the point of giving the property a branded name. And I quote from the site, "About this space, welcome to the place at Lake Mohawk by the places at Palm Beach. Centrally located in Sparta, this stunning 3-bedroom waterfront skylight-adorned property showcases waterfront views, a lakeside fire pit, and kayak and canoe access. Book with us and take advantage of our full-service concierge and locals-inspired discount program provided by your host. Contact us today for any questions and let us show you a stay like any other." I think they meant to say stay unlike any other. Our first kind of goal is for our Oak Parkway neighborhood to work with the LMCC trustees and Sparta Council to stop this company from advertising renter amenities that clearly violate established policies and potentially threaten our environment, our watersheds, and lake water quality due to the transfer of invasive species from kayaks belonging to renters. Our second goal is that our neighborhood would like clarification as to whether it is legal under current Sparta Township law for a blatantly commercial for-profit business enterprise to be established and operate in our residentially zoned neighborhood. If it is currently legal, let's make it illegal under a law so we can end these growing conflicts in our residential neighborhoods. We are worried about what the summer will bring to Oak Parkway, and as you know, Oak Parkway is quite a small little street. Through this Airbnb business, just a handful of these businesses have the potential to wreak havoc on Sparta neighborhoods and negatively affect every resident. If continued efforts by Airbnb commercial businesses to establish themselves in our residential neighborhoods remains unchecked, we believe that our Sparta community will be negatively affected, and it will be more challenging to keep our very well-earned reputation as one of the safest towns in New Jersey. In conclusion, our 10 Oak Parkway homeowners are very much in favor of the law being considered to restrict rentals to 28 days or more. We would also like to know, is there a council member that can act as a point person for us so that we can further discuss a resolution to these issues?
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
You want me to?
I would just, one quick comment. I would think, just not knowing exactly that zone, but I would think if it's a residential zone, that's a zoning infraction, right? That's a code violation. Okay. To operate a commercial entity in a residential, if it's purely residential, yeah, that, yeah.
So to answer your question about the short-term rental policy is still under advisement. I know Councilwoman Quinn has been doing a lot of follow-up work with it. I would encourage you if you could simply email all of us, but and with your concerns and also to keep you abreast of what's going on. But I do know that we do want to wrap this up. Obviously, it's rental season right now, and there's just some issues that we want to track down a little more. But thank you for bringing your concerns to us.
Great, thank you very much for your time.
So Bill, thank you. And if you need my contact information, I'm happy to share it with you after. Actually, the exact listing that you just talked about, I just showed the manager when I walked in here tonight. So I have been tirelessly researching additional things, trying to be fair and balanced, trying to maintain, definitely the best policy that we can to really move forward. So I have some things planned for this week coming up. And I would appreciate a conversation if you would like to meet and have coffee or something with the residents. I'm happy to
Would
do
love
that.
that.
I'd like to do it sooner rather than later because I owe my colleagues on the council the findings that I came up with
Right.
around everything. So
Now, after our meeting, if it meets with your
Sure.
schedule, I'll be happy to exchange contact information. We could do that almost immediately.
sure,
Great, thank
All
you
right.
so much.
you're welcome.
Thank you. Mr. Fox.
Good evening, Council, Mr. Mayor. My name is Alex Fox, ALEXFOX. I wanted to come to submit my comments also with respect to ordinance 2404 regarding the short-term rentals, and specifically, like Mr. Schneider, I wanted to give the council a ground-level view of the impact that these rentals have on individual homeowners like myself. I live at 3 Log Cabin Terrace. If you don't know it, it's off of Springbrook. Log Cabin is a double dead end. It's not on the way to anywhere. And I live.
How do you get there?
It's true. It's little hill up off of Springbrook. So I live next door to a house that's being operated as an Airbnb. The owner of that house gave his own comments here 2 weeks ago. Unfortunately, he rose to speak just a few minutes after I had to leave the meeting. And actually, I see him and his wife here tonight. And I want to preface this by saying that I have known Charles and Joanne since 2017 when they bought their first investment property in Sparta, which is the house across the street from mine. And they purchased the house next door to me during the pandemic in 2020. And I want everybody to know that Charles and his wife Joanne are lovely people. I've had them in my home. I've had drinks in my yard. They've had us over to their house. Nothing that I say here tonight should be construed as any kind of comment on their character. However, in his comments, he introduced himself as Charles from Log Cabin Terrace. I need to point out that Charles does not and never has lived on Log Cabin Terrace. In fact, he lives in a town about 30 minutes away outside of Sparta Township. And as I mentioned, he owns 2 investment properties on my block, one next door and one across the street. So the only reason that Charles is here in Sparta, the prevailing interest that he has, is profit. He's an investor. My wife and I are full-time residents and homeowners, and it seems to me that in this debate over the ordinance, the interests of a handful of property owners are being weighed against the interests of homeowners like me. Now, while many of Charles's customers have been perfectly pleasant, a lot of them have been, charitably speaking, unintentionally inconsiderate. A few of them have been downright disrespectful and rude, and my wife is going to say a little bit more about that in a moment. The overarching issue for me, and the reason that I support this ordinance, is that I don't know who my neighbors are going to be on any given day. Right? And it makes me uncomfortable that at any moment, 2 or 3 cars full of strangers may pull up into a driveway 15 feet from where my wife and I sleep at night and stay for an unknown period of time. So every time I come around that corner onto my block, I have no idea what I'm going to find. Will there be a new car in the driveway? How many people are here? How long are they staying? I don't know. Are they nice? Are they dangerous? I don't know. Will more people come to visit them during their stay and bring more cars and block up the dead end where I and the mail truck and delivery trucks have to turn around? I don't know, and because they don't know, so how could I expect them to know? There's a reason that my wife and I chose to live in a modest house at the end of a double dead end in a private community, and frankly, living next door to an unregulated hotel is not it. With all the talk that's been thrown around about our ratables and Sparta's tax base, I would submit that having an unpredictable rate of strangers occupying the house next door to me might not necessarily be positively impacting the value of my own home or the homes of other people on my block. My neighbors and I are all bearing unnecessary risk to our safety, to our security, every time a group of unknown people appear on our block. Why? Why do we bear the risk in service of someone operating a business in a residential neighborhood? Someone who doesn't bear the same risks as we do because they live in another town, 30 minutes away, not in the community from which they profit. So to put a fine point on it, if someone smashes into my car or runs over my dog or assaults my wife and then disappears, what's my recourse? And moreover, why should the burden be on me to figure that out? We don't have any idea who these people are. And at least one council member that I remember hearing 2 weeks ago, I don't put a whole lot of faith in the vetting process of a website, and I doubt that anybody here would entrust the safety of their family and their neighbors to an algorithm. We're assuming these risks so that homeowners like Charles can make a profit. We endure these disruptions to our community for the benefit of businesses, and we do so to our own detriment. Why? Why is that burden being shifted to the people who actually support our town's economy day to day, not one weekend at a time? I presume that Charles makes a profit from the house across the street from mine, which is rented out to a...
At this point, unfortunately, we have a 5-minute, but I know that your wife is here, so maybe she can pick up where you left off.
Okay, certainly.
We just have to keep a decorum and order. So
I appreciate it.
what you said.
Thank you very much for hearing me.
Very cogent points. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Birgit Bogler. I am Alex Fox's wife. Thank you, council members, police chief. I live at 3 Log Cabin Terrace here in Sparta. My husband and I bought our house in 2009, and I've been coming here since 1995 when we first started dating. And his parents would invite me to their lake house. That's nearly 30 years ago now. And we bought our house because my husband has been coming here since 1981. We chose to buy here because we wanted to be part of not just any community, but this community. I could not attend the board meeting where 2404 short-term rental ordinance was discussed because I was working. I'm a nurse. But I watched the video the following day, and I want to address some of the comments made, as well as share with you my experience living right next door to a short-term rental. Sparta is a township. We have ordinances, and as such, I cannot do whatever I want with my property. I cannot turn my house into a preschool, a bakery, a nail salon. To put up a shed, I need a permit. When we bought our wood-burning stove, we needed a permit. To those who say they should be allowed to do whatever they want with their property, I say that is what unincorporated areas are for. That is not what a town is all about. Living next door to a short-term rental, I never know what I am coming home to. I never know who I am getting next door to me or for how long. 1 week, that house had 3 turnovers of people. People show up at all hours. I've been woken up by people arriving late at night, unloading their cars, and dragging suitcases up the stairs. The garbage generated by short-term renters is another problem. People put out their garbage when they leave. I often have to look at their garbage for several days before pickup. Worse is when animals tear the bags open and there's garbage strewn all over the street and blowing into my yard. That's not something the owner deals with because Charles does not actually live on Log Cabin Terrace, but rather 30 minutes away. So I end up cleaning up the mess myself. Log Cabin Terrace is a small, double dead-end road. I have come home from shifts to cars blocking my driveway. I drove home 2.5 hours from Pennsylvania after working 3 shifts in a row, and when I arrived at nearly 10 p.m., there were 6 cars at the short-term rental. I was tired, it was late, and I had to go up to the house and get whoever was blocking my driveway to move their car. Ironically, it was a bunch of Girl Scouts having a reunion. Not everyone is as easy to deal with as the Girl Scouts. We had a man who arrived late and whose car alarm kept going off. Around midnight, I went up to the house, and he was so very rude to me. Another neighbor called the police, who told him to disconnect his car battery. These are not the sort of interactions that I want to have. The short-term rental next door advertises occupancy of 6 people, hence the Girl Scout reunion. But its driveway cannot accommodate anywhere near 6 cars. As a travel nurse, I worked in several states, including New York, New Hampshire, and North Carolina. I stayed at residence inns because I wanted to make sure that a team of professionals assured both my comfort and safety. Hotels, motels, and bed and breakfasts pay occupancy taxes. They have adequate parking for guests. They have systems in place in the event of an emergency. They add value to a community by being high-value taxable ratables. I support the proposed ordinance prohibiting short-term rentals of fewer than 28 days. I believe the ordinance should also address street parking as well as the number of vehicles a driveway can safely accommodate in the event police, an ambulance, fire truck, or snowplow needs to respond. Basically, people on both sides of this issue are being asked to compromise. And that is a very important part of what living in a community like Sparta is all about. And 28 days seems to me to be a very reasonable compromise. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, just state your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of council. My name is Dr. Ernest Lebov, 143 Wagon Wheel Road. And I'm glad to see representative of police because I would like to talk 2 words about traffic safety. I think we have 2 dangerous from point of view of human factor turn. One is on the Glen Road to the Glen Park, where it is a dead zone. When people make a left turn, they never know who is coming back from the Glen Park. I think it would be a good idea to install a big mirror which would help people to escape such surprises. And number two, you know well, Route 181, and in approaching to the north, in approaching to the theatrical plaza, a lot of left turn. Number one, there is no interruption of separating line, which makes very potentially dangerous because a lot of people goes to the different establishment in the theatrical plaza. I think it would be a good idea if you would look on that from point of view of human factor. I was glad to hear about activity of Mothers Against Drunk Driver, and it's recalled in my memory one story from my practice when I had a teacher of the physical education who, for my surprise, also taught a driving education. And in the process of therapy, I asked him, and how do you, and he told, 100% of my students get a driver's license. And I asked, and how do they get a driver's license if some of them so-called special students? In medical field, we call this mental retardation. He said, they have to sign a document where is a question about mental health. He said, because they're underage, the document signed by parents. And he said, I don't know any parent who would say, my child has mental problem. And I would encourage a police department, I would be delighted to help you in this in my best ability, to retrieve a record of these students and match them with their statistic of car accident and to see are they in the average range or among these students we have significant increase. I would suspect that you would find significant increase because some of the students were my patients and I knew that their cognitive functions were significantly decreased. They had difficulties to understand the difference between right and wrong. They had a problem with abstract thinking. Of course, there is a question, how do they pass a test in driving test? It's a different story. This is what I wanted to bring to attention of you, Mr. Mayor and Consul. I think if in the 5% I'm right, it should be one life saved from a car accident. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, Dean Reinauer, 15 Birch Parkway. I'm just going to mention, since it popped into my head, I've lived here since 1983, July 7th to be exact, and the last time my road was paved was 1983. The people across the street from me moved in 1999 and said, when is Sparta Township going to do our road? I'd put my road as being the worst road versus anything in Lake Mohawk. And anybody who knows Lake Mohawk roads, they're beautiful compared to the 1/3 of Birch Parkway that's actually in Sparta and the 2/3 is in Byram. The guys do a fabulous job maintaining the snow and cleaning the drains, but it is really bad. When Neil Spitaletto was here, they fixed one grate that was like this in front of my house. There's now holes where these drains are, and I don't know when they're going to get around to it. We heard a rumor that our road was possibly going to be done this year, but I've been here 41 years. I'd really like to see something happen on our street besides oil and slurry.
You're looking at me, aren't you?
I don't know where to look.
Fortunately enough, I was running Public Works last year, and we're very familiar with the parkways. And the first answer I would reply to is, are all the customers who want gas all hooked up?
I'd say one is
Because
being
the
done
gas
right now.
companies are
Right.
going down the roads,
Yeah,
and I
we're
don't
all-
want to pave
there's
roads
one
till we know
house- right.
all of them. So we look for confirmation from that. Meanwhile, there is a lot of stormwater drainage work going on. So there's a lot of activity going on. So before we invest and pave the road and do all those great investments, I want to make sure all those activities are done. And that's one of the holdups that's going on with the parkways. I don't disagree with you. The road is due, but every time we start to embark on putting our road list together, I come up against some of these activities and stuff. So that's what's going on. If there's holes by your basin, I urge you to just email the Public Works Department.
Okay.
We pride ourselves on being very responsive to anything like that, because I need the residents to correspond with us. Tell us the
I'll get a
problems.
petition. I mean, it's not hard because when we have a discussion, it's all about the road. It's just really bad. And it's, hey, I was on the board for 15 years, Lake Mohawk. I did call the DPW in the past, and I know budget cuts happened and staff got cut and everything, but it's
Well,
like,
it's mostly activity that's going on
Yeah.
that road right now that's holding it up from being
there's
paved.
one that looked like it just got staked again, but, I had gas put in, I think now it's been 3 years ago. So most of it's been, so.
I'm just,
I know, I
it's
hear
not
you.
an excuse, it is what.
I hear you.
When we put
I hear you.
the list together.
Just wanna have it on the
I don't want
radar.
to waste money and pave a road and
I
then
get it.
have to, go into it again.
Okay, appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I was.
It's okay. I'm happy for it. Sorry.
Mayor, council, good evening. I'm Charles. My wife Joanne's with me. I live on Log Cabin Terrace. Alex doesn't think I do, but I pay taxes. I sleep there. Before I came here, I was on my hands and knees putting mulch in between shrubs. I'm trimming shrubs. I took the house across the street, it was 4 log cabin. Disaster. Remodeled, got all the building permits, paid for everything. We made it beautiful. New roofing, siding, windows, ratables are up, pay my taxes on time. You can't go around to individuals and say, oh, you're going to have a big party on Sunday. Who's coming to your party? It doesn't matter if you moved in 81, 91, or 2017. You're a part of the community. I'm on, when the stream between 4 log cabin and 1 log cabin has debris in it, I have a big bar in my truck. I pop the grid open and I pull the debris out because I don't want to have my neighbors get flooded. Does Alex do that? No. He wants to be the ambassador of Sparta. He even told me so, verbatim. I love these guys that come in. I'm like the ambassador. When they hear he's sitting on his chair, they come in, hey, where you from? Oh, you're from New York, I'm from New York. He told me that. So this automatic switch that I'm the bad guy and then a couple bears get into our trash. No one had bears open their trash up. So the garbage goes out on a Sunday and it's picked up on a Monday morning at 8 a.m. I'm there cleaning the house. I put the garbage out. So it's like that movie from the 80s, Footloose. Where are we going to stop? We're going to ban music. We're going to ban parties. Just because we have some people that like to sit on their front porch and figure that they could determine who can live in a house, whether I go there with my son and we play golf and we come back and we have a barbecue together, that's not allowed then? Because that's a rental, that's a commercial property. No, that's my home. I clean it. I'm on the roof cleaning the gutters. I take care of that home. I pay the HOA fees at Lake Mohawk. I pay the taxes, and everything's maintained properly. It's clean, and I think this whole thing is really pushing the envelope on dangerous situation with getting into a gray matter with this should be just voted down and forgotten about. It really should. And I'm there, and I'm there on both houses, keeping it maintained and clean. So it's not like I'm just hotel investment property. No, I care about this place. I care about Sparta. I do a lot of stuff in Sparta Township. I go to the restaurants. I tell people where to go if they want to have their nails done before a wedding. The money comes into the township, and you should take care of. You should pass an ordinance to get the ratables that Trenton is collecting and put it to good use and have her road paved from 1982. But for the taxes that we're missing out on, that road could have been paved 10 years ago. Now, of course, the gas lines are going in, And that could be a matter where, the gas lines need to be installed first, of course. You don't want to rip up the road twice. You want to make the investment, but there's other roads that need to be paved that are ready. So take advantage of the ordinance, tell Trent you want your part of the tax money, and then bring the money in. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Joanne Honorevely. I also own one log cabin with my husband. I just wanted to make a few comments that any neighbor can have friends and family over, and we don't know as neighbors who they are. They come and they go. It's not like you have a party and we have no idea who the people are attending the party. So that should be disputed. And why does it matter that we live a half an hour away? That doesn't make any sense. We participate, as my husband said, we participate in all the Sparta activities. We're part of Lake Mohawk. We do a lot of activities in Lake Mohawk. We pay our fees, we pay our taxes, we take care of both houses. And what are the real risks? I mean, I hear people complaining about it, but I don't see any documentation. Is there actual documentation of police reports, of complaints that have been stated? Are there? That's a question.
So I know residents that have come up to me. The whole reason I brought it here in September. So I will defer to the chief for the actual police reports. I mean, statistically, there's other dangers that we've spoken about here and whatnot, but I'll defer to you. I don't know if there's actual, police reports that have been filed. There have been, I know, a lot of complaints. I don't know which of those complaints, to your point, you're asking a specific question, and I don't know exactly how many complaints made it to the police department or that were handled by property owners or neighbors.
Okay, so
I
it's
don't know.
basically verbal complaints. But the ordinance is saying that there's problems and it's noise complaints, all these other problems that are part of this new banning of the short-term rental can be handled by existing ordinances. We have existing ordinances of noise, don't we? So to ban things just because of things that already exist in a current ordinance doesn't make any sense to me. And, you can't tell us how to make our money. It just doesn't make sense. Do I tell anybody else how to go make their money? I don't. And it's not right for somebody to say, you can't make money. That's wrong. It's just wrong. So please consider not passing this ordinance.
I'm Vivian Perlmutter, 5 Morgan Drive, and we have zoning in this town, and we have to keep that zoning. And there are zones for hotels and for bed and breakfasts, and there are zones for residential. And the zones are for a reason, and we should keep them. And I totally support strong zoning in a town like Sparta. I also wanted to comment on the traffic. We need a traffic light at West Mountain and 517. There was another accident. We had an accident on our entrance road. The whole guardrail went down. A truck hit it. There are problems, vehicle problems in this town. We have to be careful. And the biggest problem with these short-term rentals, it's more people who aren't oriented, for example, to Lake Mohawk and their rules. They might come up with they've rented the place and they've decided to bring up their own kayak, and they don't realize that Lake Mohawk has very strict rules as to what can go into their lake. And we should try to get along with Lake Mohawk and deal with them and with their parking lot and everything else. It's one town. They're an important part of our town. I don't live in Lake Mohawk, but we shouldn't just thumb our noses at a good part of our town. And the last thing is I was, just a query, when are you putting on the agenda the rehiring of the lawyer for the planning board?
That isn't a town council. We don't hire the planning board lawyer.
You
The
don't
planning board
approve
hire-
it?
The planning board lawyer, the planning board hires the planning board lawyer.
And it
Town
doesn't-
council doesn't.
And it doesn't come up to you?
Only after they've made that decision. And Dean can correct me, and Councilman Quinn can correct me if I'm wrong.
It does
It
not.
does not come here at all.
No.
It's
it
Doesn't
never
come,
leaves
No.
it does not come, okay.
Nor does zoning. Same thing with zoning. So the
I
zoning
know you
board-
don't do the zoning, but the woman that spoke before me seemed to think that anybody can open anything anywhere as long as they make money and pay their taxes. And we can't have that in this town, just because, I mean, I might be a very good baker and say that I'm opening a bakery on Morgan Drive. It's a residential street. We didn't want, well, that, my cakes would be so good. And people would all come, and I could say nothing like my cakes, and what about my bread? And so I really, just because something is wonderful doesn't mean that it's appropriate that that's where it should be sold or that business should be run. Thank you.
Vivian.
Thank you.
Quick question. You said there was a problem with the traffic at the intersection of 517 and what road?
West Mountain, right by the high school.
By the high school.
You know, when the kids come out of high school, it's backed up and then, and it's very hard to get out and there are accidents there.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure, I had 517 and
But-
missed the rest.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and the police should keep a record of the accidents there.
All the accidents.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Margie Murphy, Pueblo Parkway. I completely agree. We do not need short-term rentals anywhere in our town. It was not meant for that. My family has been here since the 40s and helped develop this area. It was not meant for short-term rentals, and anything under 3 months should not even be here. The lake is a very precious area. Lake Mohawk generates probably 60% of the revenue of this town. And it's quite important, and we do not need anything foreign, boats, anything else in our lake. So, and we do have noise ordinances, so I beg you, do not pass anything that would let anything come in under, I'd say, 3 months. But on another note, is there anything that has come up with the cannabis store? Is there anything that we can do about that, prohibiting their sale of marijuana?
It's prohibited. I know what you're saying. And I also know that our ordinances do forbid the sale of that.
But they are
Ordinances
selling
as
it.
we have them right now. So
They
I'll
are
defer
selling
again
it.
to, I guess, Chief McCarrick, but I know that our ordinances, we have not relooked at them. We decided several years ago, we opted out of everything with the intention that once the state got it together, we would revisit it at some point down the road. But the council voted no down the line of no anything. So, I mean, retail distribution, any of that stuff is against our ordinance.
But they are selling
I
it.
know, they apparently. I'm
Stickers.
told there's a sticker or a scarf, or I don't know, I don't even want to get into it.
Yeah.
But Chief McCarrick, we should probably
I think
defer. to you.
zoning should be following up with that too.
What?
Yeah?
Zoning should be following up too if it's against the
Zoning,
zoning.
okay.
Yeah.
And is there a special segment that we have to defer to, the special police? That,
I know you and I have talked and we have an investigation going. I can't speak about that.
oh, okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, with that, we'll close the first public comment period. Oh, okay. Well, all right. We're not closing, go for it.
Okay. I'm James Gaddy. Where do I live? Andover Road in Sparta. It was, thank you, Councilwoman Quinn for taking the time to speak with me last week.
Absolutely.
It was interesting when I was here last week. I actually extended apologies for saying that this was a Lake Mohawk issue. But then after having the opportunity to hear comments from everyone else, the comments went on and on about Lake Mohawk. The comments went on about, I was told a group of 5 gentlemen came to the beach. And how did we know where they came from? Why are short-term rentals being scapegoated? Because there are people coming to the beach. After hearing folks, I think this is a Lake Mohawk issue. I'm sorry for what you guys are experiencing on Oak Parkway. I would say that the majority of the short-term rentals in the community are not that. That is a for-profit corporate business. That's very different than those of us who own a property and choose to rent it out. Are we going to ban all rentals in Lake Mohawk? And only if you can afford to buy a property can you live here? Because that'll keep out the riffraff, right? But what we're doing is we're scapegoating short-term rentals for all of these other issues. If you don't have parking, I'm sure Sparta police get calls about that all the time. If there's a noise issue, if there are people on Lake Mohawk's beach that shouldn't be there, there are protections in place for homeowners. Short-term rentals are not the issue. With all due respect, Dan, if you don't like Uber, that's fine. But short-term rentals are not the same as Airbnb. They're not the same as these websites that go around renting properties time and time again. Short-term rent, I'm sorry?
I disagree, but
Well,
keep going.
Yeah, as long as you stop my time. They are different because short-term rentals can be in the form of me allowing a friend or relative to come and rent my property for the week while I'm on vacation and trade monetary or anything for that. In fact, the way you have this ordinance written, if I have a friend who comes and stays at my house while I'm not there, they can't buy me dinner for allowing me to stay there. So I think that it's really important that you look at the language in this ordinance because it is limiting what homeowners can do with their homes. And I understand the issues, but I haven't heard anyone specifically talking about a safety issue or anything like that that has to do with a rental. Again, I live across the street from Perona Farms. It's a very different situation, and this ordinance that you have put forward is very broad sweeping. And so you can disagree with me, but you guys represent the town. And if Lake Mohawk decided that it was okay, which they have decided it is I'm sorry, Lake Mohawk sent letters to homeowners in Lake Mohawk saying you must register as a short-term property and pay a $600 fee. So therefore, they have allowed it. If Lake Mohawk does not want to allow this, then they should change their rules and not use Sparta as a whole as a measure to ban this sort of thing. I have my time to speak. Could you please be
Yeah, if we
quiet?
can, when someone speaks, just let
It's
them
just
finish.
polite, folks.
Yeah, just let them finish, and then if you have public comment, you can do it. But please, let's not have people interrupting.
I
Thank you.
apologize to the folks who have had to live next to places that have not been pleasant. Okay, but just because somebody lives next to you that does not look like you or act like you, or you haven't met them before, does not mean they're a problem. And again, no one has brought up any issues that suggest there are any problems related to short-term rentals other than hearsay. And so if the council really wants to deal with this issue, then I think you need to look to your other ordinances and you need to put controls in place to be able to deal with absent short-term rental owners who are allowing places to be abused. But good luck filling a trolley tour when you can't even get people here to this town because there's nowhere to stay. and short-term rentals are not the problem. So thank you. And again, Christine, thank you for taking the time to talk about this.
You're welcome. Thank you.
How you doing? I've been here before. It's Perry Bonadies, 16 Norwood Road, Boonton Township. I'm about a half hour away. But I bought a business here years ago. It was an abandoned building. I had a rude neighbor for 8 years, and I had to deal with it. The police had to deal with it almost every other weekend. He had a 12-foot satellite dish with a light on it, with a boat on it, speakers set up, pointing out my business, ruining my business. It got all on the air. It was on social media that this guy was disruptive. I tried to buy the house 5 years ago. It didn't work, or 7 years ago. Now I finally bought it. I made a state-of-the-art house out of it. The neighbors love it. I have no neighbors complaining about it. I bought another house that was a problem, and not that I'm trying to get rid of, that problem that the house was falling down. It's in disrepair. I finally got a thing to knock it down. Every time I go to the town, they say, when are you going to rebuild it? I'm like, it's up to this meeting. It really is. I spent $1.5 million, almost $2 million on the other house. They were ruining my business. I had to get rid of this rent. It wasn't a renter. This guy was here for 7 years. He was a problem for this town. He owned Rock Island and his partner was with him. So it was a problem for 7 or 8 years. And the cops were there, and I went to the police department to see how many times they were there before and how many times they have been there in the last couple of years. And there's like no times they've been there. It's because I've got rid of a person that's there more than 28 days. Well, so what's the difference? It could be 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. The house is empty 3/4 of the time. There's nobody there. There's no one going to the school system. I had a different situation. Mine's in the woods, this house. And so is the other one. Now, am I going to rebuild the house? It depends, up to you guys. And the town, I mean, they're probably charging me $20,000 for the one house for taxes, which is fine. It doesn't matter if I live here or not. I'm here more than, my business probably brings more money to this town than anybody. I got, these people coming for weddings. So there are people coming in there to use in the restaurants and stuff like that. But I took an area that was falling apart. Nobody wanted it. It was abandoned for 4 years. And I rebuilt it, and I put a lot of faith into this town. I joined the Chamber of Commerce. So it's not like I'm abandoning this town. I care about this town probably more than a lot of people here, or maybe not more, but I do care about the town. And I don't know what to do with the other house now. The house should have been knocked down. I went to the town because the house was in such disrepair, they couldn't do anything about it. They told the guy he had to put a boat in front of my building because it was a lakefront. That was the back of it. That was the back of his house. The back of his house was facing my business with a blue tarp on it. I mean, it was disgusting. Now I'm going to knock the house down. I'm going to clean up the area. But am I going to rebuild it? I don't know. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. But it'd be better if I rebuilt it. I'm not going to rebuild. I'm going to put it where it should go on the property and things like that. So you can't say that you're not going to solve the problem with a 28-day thing. It's not going to work. If you want, like you said, you're going to get rid of all rentals then. But the rentals is not the problem. It's, I maintain the property. We keep the place perfect. And my neighbors love it for that. I brought an area, it's probably one of the nicest parts of the town now. I'm going to pave my own road. It's a private road. I have a private dam. I do everything I could to take care of the dam. The town's not taking care of the dam. The homeowners have to take care of it, and which we are. So, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. And like you said, just look at the police reports. It's all there. So, I don't know what else to say. Thank you.
Can I ask a quick question, sir?
Yes.
What area of town do you live, or what street, or what kind of, not what zone, unless you know that, but where is it, whereabouts is it?
30 Edelweiss. It's across from Rock Island.
Yep.
It's the old German house, the people that used to own it. Franz passed away. Tony took over the house, and it was worse when Tony. And then Tony decided to sell it. He wouldn't even sell it to me. He had to have someone else buy it. So, I don't know.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, just a question for you.
Yes.
There are people who buy houses and fix them up, is that right?
Are there people that do that?
Yes.
I'm sure there are, yes.
Okay, and are those people, do they do that on the condition that they have to sell it as a short-term rental? Meaning someone can buy a house and repair it and then sell the house to another property owner. Is that right?
Absolutely. So the reason why my wife was like, didn't want to be in the rental business, but the thing is, if I rent it to someone year round, I could have it, or if I sell the house, flip it, I could have a bad neighbor again. So I was really protecting my business by doing that. If I have a short-term rental, it's only there 2 days or 1 day, whatever. So the problem's not going to persist. I could control the noise. I can control they don't use the lake. I can control everything about this house. If I sold the house, I can't control it. So in a way, I was kind of forced to buy this house because they were ruining my business.
But the willingness to buy a house and repair it, one can have that same willingness and ability to do so regardless of whether they rent the house for short-term rental or not. Is that right?
I guess so, sure.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry.
I don't think you get 2 bites of the apple, Margie. Sorry. That's just how, that's them the rules.
We have another public
another-
Yeah,
section.
there's another, we have a
We have
catch-all
another one.
at the end,
Catch-all?
so yes, you can come in at the catch-all. And we are now up to expenditures. Will the deputy? Oh, okay. We are not up to expenditures. We still have more public comment.
Checks
Hi,
will wait.
guys. My name is Bianca, owner and short-term rental owner at Hillside Road in Lake Mohawk. And yes, the country club does allow short-term rentals. This is my 3rd time here speaking, and I just want to go over a few things that I've been hearing. And it's just extremely frustrating that everyone's complaints aren't really actual complaints. It's just hearsay. Like, we need actual real facts and data if you guys are going to put this ordinance into play, and it's not fair. Also, I'd appreciate a coffee with you as well if you want to discuss.
Absolutely.
I think that's lovely that you offered it to them, but, it's kind of biased that you did just offer it to the
There's
people
no
who are
bias.
against it.
There's no bias at all. As a
Okay,
matter
I
of
just
fact,
wanna make
James
that
can
clear.
tell you, I talked to him. I'll talk to anybody, and I've always been very clear about that.
Okay,
My
amazing.
email is posted on the web, and anyone is more than welcome to reach out to me at any time.
Also, I'd like to bring up again that Lake Mohawk was built in the 1920s as a second home community, in case you guys did forget. Yes. Amazing, so you know. So short-term rentals have been around before Airbnb, before Vrbo. They've been around forever. People have been renting homes through real estate agencies, through ads in the newspapers, ever since the beginning. So I think it's, just a little unfair that you guys are trying to put a stop to this now when this is something that's been consistent to the community since its creation. And again, I just would like to reiterate that a lot of these issues that residents have brought up, there are ordinances in place already. This is not a short-term rental issue again. And I think as representatives of our community, it's our duty to make informed decisions based off of facts and evidence rather than succumbing to unforced fears or biases. I urge the council to reconsider the proposed ordinance and approach this issue with commitment to fairness, transparency, and inclusivity. Thank you.
Thank you.
I tried to cut the time between 2 speeches. Dennis Chu, 25 Wilshire Drive. I think I've spoken once before. My wife's not here. I'll speak for both of us. I think I emailed all of you late last week and reiterate some of the same points, but have some additional ones. So we currently home share a house, our primary residence at Sparta. We moved here about 2 years ago, and we shared it about 60 days, and when we're not there, we're traveling or we're visiting other vacation homes. But we did this about 60 days last year, and it helps us defray some of the major costs for this property. About $40,000 in property taxes, high maintenance costs. Anyway, we all have that type of problem. But when we home share, most of these these guest stays are for pre or post wedding groups, family gatherings, or for previous Sparta residents returning home to visit local relatives and friends. As we've spoken about earlier before, there's a dearth of hotels and inns and whatnot. We do not allow any parties or events, and this is our primary residence. It is in our interest in the town and the neighbors and everything that we have good guests and that the neighborhood is not disturbed, the neighbors are not disturbed. Unrespectful guests are weeded out, or we would screen through the reviews that we see, and we do screen them very diligently. Unrespectful guests, lead to damage to the property. It's just not a good thing. Disturbing great neighbors, no parties, no outdoor music. All the cars have to be parked within the gate. And to enforce this, we have surveillance, and we actively monitor this. And when we see any car outside, we call and we go there. And their incentive, you might ask, is why would they comply? Well, bad reviews and this kind of thing pretty much will ban you from future acceptance by any future hosts. So you'll never be able to use their platform. So that's a mutual. And if they're just starting, this is a fairly new platform, this is either been Verbo, Airbnb, or whatnot. No one wants to be banned from something for life. So overcrowding the property also is a non-issue. We do not allow that either. Because again, the unknown party or whatever, too many people trash your house. And this is our primary residence. And that also falls in the category of unrespectful. I think there was a topic that came up earlier in the earlier meetings about crowding out low-income housing. These houses that are being rented out or short-term rented out are not crowding out low-income housing. The taxes on these properties alone, I don't think it would be very hard for folks to meet that, in addition to the current owners. Now, we have some questions. Where does this need to ban come from? Where's the actual data? I think there's been requests. I think you want to be implementing a township-wide ordinance. We want to see some hard data. I think we deserve that at least. Besides, I think there's always complaints in neighborhoods and whatnot, but our house is located in a cul-de-sac off the road. It's not in the Lake Mohawk area, nowhere near it. So I don't know why we're being penalized for this. Folks that are bad operators should be corrected and banned from doing it, but they have to be told. I mean, how many, I think we have 13 operators that I count in the whole area. There's like 8,000 units in this township. Is that how we try to solve things? When there's 10 complaints or 5 complaints, I don't even know how many there are. We ban for 8,000 units. That seems a little bit excessive. And it borderline, I deeply feel that it impinges on property rights. Now, when we purchased this property, we specifically called because we saw that, I saw that the maintenance costs for this type of home were like, outrageous, and the taxes were even higher. And we were told there's no ordinance against it. So based on that, we took the plunge because we could offset a decent amount. I'm sorry, a little bit emotional here. Also, there was talk about banning, and then reservations are made a year in advance. So if you want to ban, I hope the thought is not there, that suddenly just becomes law. You're going to be disrupting hundreds of people out there. And they're not going to look favorably toward the hosts, toward the township, toward everybody. I think there are more effective ways, like we mentioned, there are already ordinances in for noise and complaints. Let's just enforce those. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Michelle Bonadies in 38 Idleways Lane. I'm the owner of Rock Island Lake Club, also with my husband Perry. The reason why we did purchase the property also is because we had neighbors that were being disruptive to our business. We worked very hard to get our business to what it was. It was a dilapidated building. It was horrible. We put our heart and soul into the business. we're trying to make Sparta a good place to, for people to be. We have weddings, we have people that want to stay there. We don't want people drinking and driving. I mean, we're trying to be responsible owners here. And I mean, I really hope you reconsider, this whole thing, because it's really going to hurt not just us, but everyone here. Because everyone here is trying to make a living, and maybe it's not what they expect us to make a living by, but there's reasons for everybody. There's one of us that they were gonna make this their home. They made their home so beautiful, and then they had somebody come in and go in their house and break in their house. So now they felt that they were violated, so they left. Now they're in another state because they don't feel like they feel safe here. So and this was neighbors that lived there all year long. So, thank you for your time, and I hope you reconsider.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Edison Navasilos. I'm a Chamber of Commerce member. I wanted to come here to once again address this situation with prohibiting short-term rentals for less than 28 days. I do have a list of points that I wanted to mention. First off, as recent as a few years ago, the Chamber of Commerce awarded Sparta as being business-friendly. If long-term rentals can be considered a business, then so would short-term rental properties, which are a type of rental. Sparta Township should keep embracing businesses and should allow short-term rentals. Attorney Ryan, I wanted to ask you, when it comes to rentals or tenants, are they prohibited in Sparta Township? Do you have an ordinance not allowing people to rent out their houses in the long term?
No, we don't.
Okay, so that would be seen as a form of discrimination because at the same time, although yes, ordinances are placed for the well-being of the community, you're not providing a balanced ordinance that would both allow not just long-term rentals, but also short-term rentals. And again, this would be you being more business-friendly, not just because this is seen as a commercial entity, which is really not, but in a way of opening your doors for people to come and do business in the township. People need places to stay when they come and do business in a location. Or if, for example, kind of like what was just mentioned, even for safety reasons, if someone does get drunk, do you want them to drive very far away? And they shouldn't be driving at all. We know that, but wouldn't it be easier if they could find a closer location of a stay? That's something that would be better considered. Second off, historically, Lake Mohawk was for second homes and vacation homes for owners. Much of these homes, just like many homes in Sussex County, historically speaking, were purchased and used by people from New York City that would come on the weekends, come during the weekday. They would rent out their houses to friends, to family members, or people that they trusted. Although there's never a guarantee of who you will allow that will take care of your property 100%, just as maybe a friend or family member might do something wrong by mistake, or there might be a situation, but that doesn't prevent you from being able to use your property's full use and being able to allow to share that, even if it's with monetary compensation. Why are you going to allow to affect what historically Sparta was known for as a vacation getaway or for homeowners, or even a place that people can come for wedding venues that want to provide, and for those owners that want to provide others to a place to stay and also enjoy their property experience. Third, this also affects the elderly that cannot survive on Social Security and might want to host a guest to use an empty house or bedroom where they can make that additional income. This isn't just investors or flippers and fixing people. No, these are homeowners that might have a second home. They want to keep the home. They probably lived there years ago. They couldn't afford the taxes. Do you want your long-term residents to leave because they can't afford to continue paying their taxes? Or that they might be able to say, let me put this house as a short-term rental, a registered and a regulated short-term rental that will provide that additional income. A lot of these elderly people have been able to do so in other townships, in other states, and other counties. Why are we going to discriminate or prohibit them in that way? Just to keep keep in mind, New Jersey State does allow cottage sales from your own home. So that means if you wanted to sell from your home, your cakes, you're more than welcome to, even if you're not a business. Baking and selling home treats is exclusively legal in New Jersey since 2021. Do you want to prohibit people from making a livelihood, going homeless, because not just that they can't afford to stay in their own home and share it sometimes, or do you want to be able to provide a place where someone can stay? 4, rentals are not considered commercial property or a business. Is the town going to prohibit all types of rentals because someone thinks it's a business? With regards to problems of guests, is Sparta going to make an ordinance to prohibit bad tenants, long-term tenants, or to screen tenants? I have experience where you place a long-term tenant and they become a huge problem to neighbors, and you cannot get them out of there for a year or years. Would you prefer to have a short-term rental guest that even if they were a temporary problem for a weekend, you can have them removed, or that you have the guarantee they're not going to stay there in the long term? Garbage and noise and other problems can be easily addressed by ordinance, which at times townships have already had in place. 7, with regards to investors, someone has to purchase the property unless the town is going to take over these badly damaged properties and spend tax money to renovate them. So whether they're an investor of one house or 3 houses, someone has to do that job. Again, this does affect property values, because most of these houses that people do short-term rentals are one of the most gorgeous houses out there. And they're not going to allow someone to come and trash your house. So I hope you can take that into consideration
And you're done.
in the
Thank
economic
you.
development.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. At risk of someone coming up, if anyone else wants to come up, because every time I say it, I'm going too soon. You're just leaving. You have enough. Okay, with that, Deputy Mayor, would you please read the expenditures for April 23rd, 2024?
Absolutely. I make a motion that we approve the expenditures of April 23rd, 2024, the amount of $5,758,564.85.
May I have a second, please?
I will second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The expenditures for April 23rd, 2024 are approved. We do have one ordinance for introduction tonight. Madam Clerk, could you please read the title of Ordinance 2405?
Township of Sparta ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriations limits and to establish a cap bank.
May I have a motion to introduce Ordinance 2405?
I'll make a motion to introduce 2405.
May I have a second?
I will second it.
May I have a roll call? Sure. Before we go to roll call, Councilman Blumetti has a question.
Sure. I'd like to ask our CFO and town manager, given the Resolution 9-4 and the delay in refining and tweaking the draft budget, should this ordinance wait, or is this still the appropriate time to introduce it?
This is the appropriate time. I mean, basically.
Sam, just go. Yeah, thanks.
It needs to be in place before the budget's adopted.
Okay.
So now we have the figures to put into the ordinance, so we, just have it on now so that it gets in place before the budget's adopted.
Okay.
Does that answer your questions?
it does.
Anyone else have any questions about the introduction? Okay, may I have a roll call vote, Madam Clerk?
Councilwoman Quinn.
Yes.
Councilman Chiarello.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Blumetti.
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes. So Ordinance 2405 is introduced. There are no hearings of the ordinance. Next up are our next public comment period, but that's limited to the resolution. So if you look on your agenda under the resolutions, there are 4 of them tonight, so any comment you make would have to do with those 4 resolutions and nothing else. So does anyone have any public comment on the resolutions? Okay. Seeing none, I think we will take a motion, we'll take them one by one. May I have a motion to approve Resolution 9-1?
So moved.
May I have a second,
I'll
please?
second.
And before we begin the vote, this is for the LEAP implementation grant. What is this?
Police department.
Well, and animal control allows us to share the grant program. Sorry, Dean.
This is the state money.
Yeah,
These are the state funds.
Being remote 2 weeks ago, I realized how close you have to be to these to
This is
hear.
the state funding that's available to offset the different costs, and we're qualifying for animal control and under the police department.
Got it. So did everyone hear that? That's for, we have a state grant for animal control, and this is the implementing resolution for that. So
For
this
shared
is
services,
for
right,
shared
Jeff?
service.
It's the shared service grant
So
money.
PACON is leading this, applying for the grant. We haven't been awarded anything as of yet, but it's just for the application to go into.
In order to get the monies, you have to have at least one municipality that will sign off and say that they're going to share the service with you. This is when we were at the diner with the mayor's meeting, this is that money. We're part of that process. So we have to do this in order for them to be considered to get the money.
Great, thank you. So with that, may I have all those in favor of Resolution 9-1, say aye.
Aye.
Resolution 9-1 passes. May I have a motion to approve Resolution 9-2?
I move that we approve Resolution 9-2.
May I have a second, please?
I'll second it.
Before we go to vote, what's the purpose of Resolution 9-2? What is the self-examination? What does that mean?
Basically, the state requires it every third year. They examine your budget and they go through it and to find if there's any issues or problems. On the other two corresponding years, as long as we do this resolution, we do not have to have the budget examined. They just basically, we'll send it to the auditor, have our auditor look at it, and basically we can adopt without the direct approval of the state.
So this is one of the years that we're allowed to self-examine our budget as opposed to having the state do it, and we're simply authorizing ourselves to examine per the statute that allows us to examine our own budget.
Correct.
Okay, got you. So with that clarification, all those in favor of Resolution 9-2, say aye.
Aye.
Resolution 9-2 passes. Next up is Resolution 9-3, which is awarding a contract for the project known as 2024 Road Improvement Program, Part 1, as part of the Morris County Contract Number 6, for a total amount not to exceed $268,035.85. May I have a motion to approve Resolution 9-3?
Make a motion that we approve Resolution 9-3.
And may I have a second?
I will second it.
Okay. And before we go to a vote, no way we can get Mrs. Reinhauer's Birch Parkway on this, can we?
Nope.
Not until Elizabeth finishes the job.
All right. You can't blame a man for trying. Okay. With that, may we have all those in favor of Resolution 9-3, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And Resolution 9-3 passes. May I have a resolution to approve, a motion to approve Resolution 9-4?
I make a motion that we approve 9-4.
And Councilwoman Quinn, I take that as a second?
Sure.
Okay. Again, Sam, what's the purpose of, why are we rescinding the 2024 introduced budget?
Once we finally got the budget together at the previous meeting, I sent it down to our auditor to look at it. Because of the issues with the deficit in the sewer operating budget that we have to put in and pay for out of the current proceeds, and the emergency appropriations that we had to put in from the prior year for litigation purposes, it made us overextend our cap levy. So I've been in the process of the last half a week going through, retooling the budget and trying to get it down to where it's an acceptable level to meet the state requirements, which I have done. So sometime the council will have to go over again where we're at with the new budget. So talking with the state, saying since we already introduced, they would allow us to rescind the budget.
Okay, got you. And I think once it is reintroduced, we do intend to have another budget workshop for the reintroduced budget, I hope. And we'll work amongst ourselves to try to figure out a mutually convenient time to do that.
Actually, I should have the paperwork available probably by sometime tomorrow or possibly Friday, that I can at least send out a draft copy to each one of the council people. So you will have the sufficient time to look at the numbers ahead. And hopefully that'll speed the process up when we do have a meeting, that we can have the questions answered sort of ahead of time.
Okay.
So if anybody has any questions, reach out to Mr. Zepp or myself. And, once you receive the draft copy.
Thanks. Thank you for that explanation. So all those in favor of Resolution 9-4, say aye.
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 Resolution 9-4 has passed. We're now up to council liaison updates. As people are aware, this isn't the only time we do municipal business. All of us are involved in a ton of different committees. And so it's this part of the meeting where people update the public on some of their committees. And so I will start to my far right, if that's okay. Councilman Chiarello, if you'd update us on some of your liaisons.
Just a couple of quick updates. The Revolution NJ Committee next meeting is Monday, May 13th. The next update I have is the County Commissioners liaison, in my position there. The only update I'd like to make there is that 2 weeks ago or so, the Legislative District 24 state representatives had meetings with the elected officials in the county. I attended that as well as Mayor Clark, and it was an informative session, again, to meet and liaise with our state representatives as well as other county elected officials. As liaison to the Historical Society, I attended the season's open house also about 2 weeks ago. Maybe it was a week ago, I can't remember. But anyway, it was always fun to be at the opening, and they showcased the medals, the workings from the county. Business Development Committee met on April 10th. I did not attend that meeting because it conflicted with the elected officials, which tells me that I was on that meeting at April 10th. The next meeting is, they meet on the second Wednesday of the month. The next meeting is May 8th for the Business Development Committee. We will talk about, I will mention the trolley that we spoke of earlier today. The Environmental Commission meeting for this Thursday, April 25th, has been canceled. We talked about the Arbor Day event coming up this Friday. I'll make an appearance there to help celebrate that event. And also, I'd like to thank the township for flying the Earth Day flag. If you haven't noticed, it'll be flying up this week in honor of Earth Day, which was yesterday, and the week's-long commemoration. Culture and Arts Committee planning their summer concert series, getting their lineups together. There should get updates to the website and posters updated in the next couple of weeks. I think that's coming together. And that is all I have for committee updates.
Thank you.
So a few updates from the last two meetings of the Planning Board. First, the State Plan Endorsement Advisory Committee, or PIAC, gave a presentation to the public as part of the meeting, and it covered the state plan endorsement process, its components, the definitions, et cetera. And it was the first of numerous public sessions for that plan endorsement process. And public input will be solicited along the way at different venues and different opportunities. A lot of the state plan endorsement work will feed into the master plan subcommittee and the master plan work. And I will distribute that presentation to my fellow council members and town manager that was presented about the PIAC. Second, the planning board hosted a capital improvement plan review for the Sussex County Tech School for proposed additions of several new classrooms. These are courtesy reviews, so the planning board doesn't have approval or denial authority. These are just presented to the planning board members to ask questions and help the applicant, in this case, it was the Sussex Tech School representatives and their engineers and architects, think through some issues, ideas. We were told, by the way, too, that the addition of those several classrooms is fully grant funded. That's what we were told. So it's not coming out of the county budget. I know there's a lot of activity right now in terms of the tech school and the programs and all that. Our understanding is that these additions are grant-funded, things that were set into motion several years ago. Finally, the planning board also finalized its review and updated the parking design standard recommendations for certain uses, meaning that the number of required parking spots for certain uses, such as fitness studios and athletic centers, will be modified in certain zones. That draft ordinance will be coming to the council in the near future, so be hearing more about that here at these meetings. And then finally, just a separate note, Councilman Chiarello mentioned the Environmental Commission's Arbor Day event this Friday. I'll also be there in the morning to offer some remarks to the students on the Sparta Glen Brook restoration work that was done back in 2015 and 2016 by nonprofits and other volunteers that has done a great job with restoring that stream and the environment over there. So I look forward to that. And I want to thank the Environmental Commission again for their work in general and also for putting that together. And it's based mainly on grant funding that they had applied for last year. That concludes my report.
Just a question with respect to the revisions regarding some of the zones for fitness facilities. What was the impetus for targeting that particular use? Was there some reason why the planning board focused on those uses as opposed to all the other uses that are in the various zones?
Yeah. We had some applicants and some businesses that, in a sense, were being penalized because they were trying to open up a small business, a small studio for kids to come and have an instructor-led class. But because they were, for example, in the economic development zone, the parking standards were set up for large facilities and warehouses. So, for example, a small business that might have 10, 12, 20 students at a time, the requirement based on their zone was that they had, for instance, maybe 100 parking spaces or more than that. So it was not defined in our codes, so we looked at it and created some new definitions about the differences between a small instructor-led studio such as that versus a large indoor recreation center that might have fields inside of it versus a typical health club or gym that we might go to as a membership. And with a lot of work of our planner and other professionals, we put together some definitions and then looked at revising a couple of the parking requirements. And in a sense, we looked at surrounding towns, and these are more in line actually with a lot of our neighboring towns. So we wanted to make sure we were attractive and we didn't lose businesses because we were being over restrictive in terms of parking space requirements.
Thank you for that explanation. So my council liaison updates, first with Lake Mohawk. We met last week, Councilwoman Quinn and I. We continue to meet with Lake Mohawk, usually about once a month, once every 6 weeks, and figure out where, what issues are important to them. And there's some overlap with municipal issues, so we continue to meet with them, and I've found them productive, particularly with respect to issues that are going on in Lake Mohawk and where the township can help as necessary. My next council liaison update is today. I spent the entire day in Morris County. It is the very first step that a municipality has to go through as part of becoming a film-ready community. So we checked that box off the list. That was a very informative. They had representatives from the New Jersey Film Commission. They also had people from various studios, mainly studio scouts. These are the people who come to your town and have to basically put on the production, and they're sort of who would interface with a lot of the municipality, from the police to the fire department, depending on the scope of the production. There was actually a fire chief there and a chief of police there, because obviously when some of these productions it's very important to communicate the scale and scope, and so it was of the production, so everyone knows what is going on. Also very interesting, and it will become more apparent when I talk about my new business. A big initiative of this, too, there's a huge educational and job training component to the film readiness. The reason is that when these productions come in, there is the need for training for, just to build the set, you need carpenters. To learn how to be a production assistant, that there's a lot of technical programs, community colleges that offer a film program or a theater program, and it's an opportunity for these students to get hands-on training with actual professionals. So it's real-world experience. So that's a big initiative that they have. And to date, they have kept up with how many jobs this has created. It's been over about 15,000 jobs in New Jersey for entertainment production. So the next step is for Sparta to submit an application for that, which will include various photos of all the beautiful spots in Sparta. Also, I will say, if you are a private homeowner who is interested in having your home be possibly scouted in a film, you can submit to the Film Commission, and that can be included. There are plenty of films that are done privately. Actually, that is also a lot easier because if it's just in the home, this doesn't require as much notification to the municipality, et cetera, because it's all being filmed in one spot and not closing roads, et cetera. So in any event, stay tuned. There'll be more about this later. And with that, that is all my council liaison updates. Councilwoman Quinn.
So I apologize, but as I had told the mayor earlier, I have a family member coming in from the airport, so I have to leave soon. So I'm going to give the report, and then I'm going to leave. I just want anyone to understand why I'm getting up and leaving. I already said I'd pick somebody. I got someone coming in from the airport.
In honor of Mother's Day, she's being the amazing mother she is, so.
Well, I just, yeah, so, couple things. I want to acknowledge the following people: Benjamin Ramos, Bob Nicholson, Brian Lockwood, Daniel Booton, Dave Fitzgerald, David Strupp, Donald Strassel, Gary Trageser, George Bridges, James Hyland, Jeff Veltri, Joseph Daly, Josh Oldridge, Juan Penna, Lloyd Personette, Mike Vrabel, Nick Francis Anderson, Noah Parker, Rich Schluter, Robert Rispoli, Rocco Barbella, Ryan Aliera, Scott Payne, William Samford, and there's three more, one page printed out of the printer. I'm missing three. I apologize up front. I'll get you at the next meeting. These are our hometown hero banners that were ordered for 2024. We want to thank every member that I just listed, and I will get the other three at the next meeting. We want to thank them for their service. Their banners will be in May. We couldn't be prouder. Jim, I'm serious. You better start ordering more polls because it's a great problem to have. We're running out. With regard to the Health Committee, there is these county newsletter was posted on our Health Corner, so please feel free to go out and look at that from spartanj.org. It's available from the main page of our website. I do want to reiterate something I've been bringing up because I think it's very, very important for anyone that has or knows of anyone that has a child that is very ill and suffered catastrophic medical expenses associated with that illness. The county offers a program to support. So please, if you know anyone that is facing this challenge with overwhelming amounts of medical bills due to a catastrophic illness for their child, please refer them to the county. There's help. Also, on April 25th and May 23rd, there's going to be deaf and hard of hearing sensitivity trainings at the county as well, sponsored by the Department of Human Services, Division of the Deaf and Hard of Hearing. So if you'd like more information about that, information is available, and I believe this was also put on our website earlier today. Municipal Alliance, as the manager had mentioned, a lot going on here. Again, you've heard me saying, it's so great to work with this group. Everyone is so dedicated. This is the Alliance. The primary focus of this is to lead people in a different direction other than to get people away from drug and alcohol and substance abuse and misuse, and to really encourage and promote programming and marketing to support programs that really promote people to make better choices or to have better choices available. And our new logo is Live Your Best Life. We are very excited that we are sponsoring the Trout Derby. This is a great initiative. In addition to that, we are also very excited that to be sponsoring, again, the Senior Olympics and also Sparta Unified 2024. Those are just some of the things that we have coming up. In addition, we're talking about Sparta Day. So if you see us, definitely come visit. Also, the rec advisory, as I mentioned last month, we did submit the projects listing and we submitted that to all members of council for their review. I will say that I did call Jean earlier in the week and asked for her to add one thing, a little bump park. I don't know if anyone is familiar with what these are. I personally had never heard of them, but Vernon just put one in, and it's a small little track, literally with bumps. And kids can take little scooters or bikes. It's very healthy. It's sort of like a smaller version of a BMX sort of track, but it just gets kids out. It's just not going in a circle. So not to say that this is going to be added to what we do, but just pooled in with something that might be interesting as well. Last, I want to really talk about the Senior Advisory Committee. We met this past week. I want to also, for any of our seniors interested, Sussex County Community College offers something called a Center for Lifetime Learning. And that means that they provide all kinds of classes and educational opportunities for our seniors. So again, that's through Sussex County Community College, if anybody is interested. This year's Senior Olympics will be held on June 26th. Go Sparta. We're very excited. I go every year. It's really great. Just letting everyone know, anybody over 60 years, any resident of Sparta that is 60 years or older is eligible to participate in our Olympics. And I am being told there are 3 more spots open if anybody is interested. So if you're interested, please reach out to Jean in Recreation. Also, June 10th, the senior pool will open at Knoll View. If anyone is interested in that, you have to be a senior to be able to go, but the registration fee is open to anyone. So you don't have to be living up at Knoll View or Knoll Heights to access the pool. It's open to any senior in Sparta. Senior Awards Dinner will be on May 22nd at 5:30. Details to follow. And that's also the seniors are looking for ambassadors. So if you ever have come into town hall in the daytime, you'll see we have senior ambassadors. So we have some of our seniors that are very knowledgeable, and they come and they sit in what we call the fishbowl up here, and they answer questions and direct people. They're looking for volunteers. So if anyone knows, if you're a senior or you know of a senior who may be interested in volunteering some time in the fishbowl at town hall, please also have them reach out to Jean Monmorano. And with that said, I apologize. I have to leave. Sorry, but
Okay,
I gotta go.
we are going to do a vote for the alternate position. We have a quorum without you, but I just wanted to
Okay.
make sure you had that opportunity.
Well, I appreciate that, but I really
Okay,
have to
that's
go.
fine. I just wanted
So
to extend it to you.
You have enough, right?
Yeah, we have
You
enough, but I wanted to extend that to you before you
I
leave.
appreciate it.
No, I
but
understand.
I really have to go.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you so much.
Okay, with that, we are now up to unfinished and new business. Councilman Chiarello, do you have any unfinished or new business?
I do, and while Councilwoman Quinn is here, I want to make sure that I wish all the Sparta mothers happy Mother's Day. This is our last last meeting before Mother's Day. So this is me and my mom, when I still had hair, and my mom. I think her hair was, she had more hair then. Anyway, I want to, again, wish my mom happy Mother's Day, and I love you, Mom. And also want to wish my wife, who's the mother of our 2 children, also happy Mother's Day. And the rest of, and I love her too. And the rest of the moms in Sparta. So that's one thing I want to get out of the way. Second thing is I want to make requests to fly 3 flags for the next couple of weeks. So these requests are that we vote to put them on the agenda for the next meeting, which is May 14th. Thank you. So the requests are to fly from May 15th through May 18th, the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Flag. This is donated by a Sparta resident, and this is to commemorate National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Week. Do you want to make them all together, or should we have separate votes on those? Oh.
I think we have to vote to put them on the agenda or when, okay.
We should probably make them individually. So I will make a motion that we put on the agenda for the next meeting that we fly the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Flag from May 15th to May 18th.
I will second it.
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And just real quick, before we leave, I want to wish my mom a happy Mother's Day
Oh,
too.
yeah.
No way, my mom, I'm taking a chance that she is not seeing me with the picture.
Okay, there you
too.
go.
So,
Cool.
And happy Mother's Day to you,
never too old to hear your
Councilwoman.
mom.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Happy Mother's Day, Mom.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And happy Mother's Day, Councilwoman Quinn.
Everyone.
Secondly, I'd like to make a motion that we put on the agenda for the next meeting that we fly the Star of Life flag to commemorate the National EMS Week. The flag is on hand right now with the township. That will be flown from May 19th to May 25th.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
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 And thirdly, I would like to move that we fly the Progress Pride flag from June 1st through June 8th.
So moved.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye. And that's all of my new business.
All right. Councilman Blumetti.
Thank you. Happy Mother's Day to my mom, which you saw the picture a little earlier. A couple quick updates. One is last Thursday was the Council Connect meeting again. So if you remember, those are once a month at the library where it gives residents a chance to come and talk one-on-one, one-on-two, just to have some conversations for an hour or two at the library and share what's on your mind, ideas, complaints, what have you. So try to take advantage of them. They're a great opportunity. If you don't have a chance here to speak as much, you can come there and sit down, and the library has some refreshments. It's a great opportunity. So I had an interesting and productive conversation, and I would encourage you to come to those. We're going to handle the appointment separately, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
When's the next Council Connect meeting?
It'd be probably the third Friday, I believe.
I'll look that up while you're giving the rest of your thing.
Okay. I'm going to reserve a comment to the end.
Actually, I have it now, Friday, May
The
17th,
17th? Okay.
11 to 1, myself and Councilman Hertzberg.
Okay. I'm going to reserve one last comment at the end. Thank you.
First off, we have a vacancy on Planning Board. Our alternate member had to resign due to work requirements, so we need to appoint an additional person to the Planning Board. And with that, I am going to make a motion to appoint Brian Zimmerman. Brian Zimmerman is a lifelong Sparta resident. He is a business owner at Tricor Packaging in the Economic Development Zone. He has a lot of experience with issues that would probably come up with planning board, so it will be a very impartial and fair and informed member of planning board. So with that, I will make a motion to appoint Brian Zimmerman to the alternate position on planning board.
I will second that and also add further context. Brian is a fourth generation Spartan, and his children are fifth generation. So he and his family have been here for a long time, and they're not going anywhere, as he put it, and they're very dedicated to caring about Sparta and its future.
And I gave information to my fellow council members, Brian's contact information, to contact him and to vet him as much as they desired. So with that, again, I have a motion to appoint Brian Zimmerman. Do we have a second?
I did a second, yep.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, Brian Zimmerman is now the alternate member of the planning board.
I believe it's alternate two.
Alternate two, to be hyper-specific. Far as new business, I would like to, and I got a notice that on Saturday, May 11th, is the Postal Carrier Annual Food Drive. And what that means is your postal carrier, it's a nationwide program where they collect food for a food pantry. And my understanding, the way it actually works, I think, is you can leave out on that day, Saturday, May 11th, whatever food you want to donate, and they will pick it up. And you can imagine this is the entire postal service in the United States. So the amount of food that they are able to collect on that day is staggering. I mean, tons and tons and tons of food. So I encourage everyone to participate on Saturday, May 11th. The next new business I'd like to address is last Thursday, I attended the public meeting about the cuts at Sussex Tech. As some people have probably read, they are proposing cutting the architectural program, the graphic arts program, and the theater program, citing an $800,000 deficit. I've spoken with Commissioner Space on numerous occasions, and she shares my concerns about these cuts. She was not aware that they were going to make these specific cuts. She is very upset about them, as others are. And as a result of that probably 5 to 6 hour meeting last Thursday, the board is at least reconsidering it and looking for alternatives. And so I think, whenever something like this happens, sometimes there's a necessity to find a scapegoat instead of a solution. And I can tell you that the commissioners, the board there are looking for solutions at this point. So I think that there's a lot to be said for trying to find a way to keep these programs. Tech education is vitally important. Anyone who's paying any attention to education will see that it's trending toward tech. It's a much better return on investment than a lot of other education. So at a time that we are putting a lot of emphasis on tech education, my personal opinion, the last thing you need to do is to cut it. So I hope they will find a solution. Sparta Town Council has no role in this, but it is an issue affecting our residents. So I thought it was important to attend that meeting. So with that, that is all the new business that I have. And you had a comment you wanted to make.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So I just wanted to make a separate comment on the upcoming restart of the planning board diamond chip hearings. I'm confident that they will be done professionally and fairly. I would encourage and respectfully request that the public, the objectors, the planning board members, its attorney, its planner, its engineer, everyone approach these hearings as much as possible in a non-adversarial way, a professional and respectful tone and demeanor. I just think it'll go a long way towards making these more efficient and done in a professional manner. Just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other new business, old business, before we go to the final, what I call the grab bag public comment period? So this is the final public comment period. You can speak on any matter. So, but please keep it to 5 minutes and maintain decorum and civility, which I know we always do. Thank you. So any other public comments?
Hi, James Gaddy again, Andover Road. I think it's really important to base decision on facts. I just want to read into the record the short-term rental policy for Lake Mohawk Country Club. I won't read the entire thing. However, Lake Mohawk Country Club does allow for short-term rentals. They define short-term rentals as anything under 90 days. Thus, it is hereby established that this policy shall govern the short-term rentals of single-family residences throughout Lake Mohawk Reservation. Again, 3 months or less. They have a list of rules. The leaser of short-term rentals must be a Lake Mohawk Country Club member in good standing. They go into detail what that looks like. They talk about the short-term rentals being prohibited from having overnight visitors, and then they define what an overnight visitor is. They talk about having emergency contacts. They talk about who is responsible for adhering to all the bylaws, rules, and regulations of the country club. They specifically say short-term rentals shall not bring watercraft to Lake Mohawk Country Club nor utilize short-term lessers watercraft. Short-term renters shall not utilize Lake Mohawk Country Club facilities, including but not limited to the lakes, clubhouses, boardwalks, member parking. I know you all want to go home, but it's imperative that we make decisions based on facts and not based on hearsay whether or not it's permitted in Lake Mohawk. Violations of this policy, they then go on to have a list of fees associated with violating any of these policies. In fact, one friend received a letter that said their fee for not registering their property would be $1,800. And by the way, that's not a, hey, we hope you pay this fee. The letter says that it'll be automatically deducted from their bank account. It then goes on to provide more specifics about this. So if folks are having issues with short-term rentals in Lake Mohawk Country Club, then there is a document that's available on the website for how they can go about addressing that. But again, banning short-term rentals in all of Sparta because of 96.6% of speakers who got up and talked were from Lake Mohawk, I think is an overreach. So thank you.
Any other public comment?
Okay. Beth Broderick, North Shore. I just want to go on record as saying that Christine, Councilwoman Quinn, has brought up multiple times that she has heard from people all over Sparta, not just Lake Mohawk, about concerns with short-term rentals. So it's not, quote, a Lake Mohawk issue or just a Lake Mohawk issue. I think we need to stop with the Lake Mohawk, Lake Mohawk, Lake Mohawk, when council has heard from multiple Sparta residents that there are concerns. We need to stop bashing each other and come to some understanding that a lot of people are concerned about short-term rentals and agree on a resolution. I know that I've spoken to all of you about a resolution to this. I'm on record 2 weeks ago when a lot of the Airbnb people and people on my right, I'm on record as saying, let's come up with a solution like a bed and breakfast or something along those lines. We are not out to get anybody. We are looking at preserving Sparta, our community, not just Lake Mohawk, not just the other 20-some-odd lake communities in Sparta, like Up Glen Road, like Seneca Lake, and like all of the others. This is not an us versus them. This is our home. This is where we live. I have been here for 45 years. My mother is still here. My family comes up. We are not looking to hurt anybody, burn anybody, or whatever. We're looking to protect what is ours and why we are here and why we choose to live here. So if it's going to become, it's a Lake Mohawk problem and we shouldn't be penalized and we shouldn't be hurt, that's got to be addressed as well. And in terms of issues and problems and concerns, when people are having their homes rented or their houses rented out, and the parking is so bad that full-time residents cannot get in and out of their driveways, and the cars are blocking the streets so that Chief McCarrick and the fire engines cannot get down the road, it's going to come down to what's more important, people that have an investment or the people that are having a heart attack or a house that is burning down. That's what it really comes down to. It's not, well, I spend $40,000, my taxes are this, or my tenant that lived here for a year wrecked the place. This is our home, and if it's one of their guests that's having a heart attack, do they want to say, oh, well, gee, sorry, it doesn't matter, because we can do whatever I want, and screw it. Doesn't matter that the fire truck can't get down here. This is where we live. This is our community. They're not here. They're living in Jersey City. They're living in Boonton. They're in Hoboken or a half an hour out. And to the person that said, well, you have a party at your house, we don't know who's there. Well, I would hope that if you're having a party at your house, you know who the guests are. We're talking about the turnover where you have a different neighbor every week or every 2 weeks. We're not out to ban everybody. We're looking for continuity in our neighborhoods. We're not saying don't do short-term rentals. We're not saying don't do long-term rentals. We want some kind of continuity. We're saying, hey, let's do something, but let's not do it in the rural residential where there's already an ordinance on file, where we have guidelines, where we have noise ordinances. Police wouldn't be called if people weren't violating the noise ordinance, but that's not being respected. And in terms of rules not being broken, why are people showing up with canoes and kayaks and boats to the different lakes when they're not supposed to be doing it? Why are people renting out their places saying beach access, walking distance to the beach, pool membership, go to the pool? There's a house listed on Airbnb that said we went over to the Lake Mohawk pool. It must have been the off season. We have people on East Shore Trail on the east side of the lake. I'm watching, I got less than 15 seconds, that say we walked down to the beach and we were using the beach. We walked up and down the boardwalk. If people are not respecting the rules that are in place, what's to say that they're not respecting the other rules and guidelines that are on file? Clearly, we need additional guidelines and rules in place to make sure that we're protected.
Thank you.
Perry Bonadies, and Boonton again. I do spend probably more time here than I do in my own town, plus I do Chamber of Commerce work also, so it doesn't matter. I don't think it matters where you live. You're talking about like a film-ready town. It seems like you're putting a lot of effort into that. Isn't that like what we're trying to do? It's almost the same thing. That could be more detrimental. I mean, that would police, fire, all these different things. I mean, that's a big undertaking that you're taking on, so maybe do something like that for Airbnbs. Maybe fight for us, just like you're fighting for the film-ready thing. That's what I think. And I know you guys are doing a master plan. Build into your master plan. Do something with the master plan to include short-term rentals with some kind of rules. And then maybe you guys can make money off of that, just like the money's going to this to the state now, make it come to this town. So, all right, thank you.
Well, just on that point, no, you're right. It would be a lot easier to do film ready if we'd allowed short-term rental. Of course it would be. But I think as I alluded to yesterday, again, or the last meeting, which is my job here isn't to do my pet project. You know, if it were up to me for my pet, I would, short-term rentals would be great. But that's not the mandate that I was given. The mandate I was given is to try to figure out the consensus of the community. And so even if that's antithetical to what I would personally like and what would personally help the film initiative, sure, if you had more opportunities for lodging, you'd have a better opportunity to attract movies than, say, someone who doesn't. Yes, Sparta is at a competitive disadvantage compared to other towns, but we've made that trade-off. Townships are always making those trade-offs, so that just comes with the territory. So, but I do want to address that. The other thing I want to point out is that Beth is right. We have heard complaints from outside of Lake Mohawk. So it's not just, we have heard that. It was Lake Tomahawk, which is not in Lake Mohawk. A final point is, you'll excuse me, but, people thrown around the term hearsay. When someone testifies about what they see and hear, that's not hearsay. So Mr. Fox, when he stood up and described what he saw, that's not hearsay. He's what's called a percipient witness. So now if he said, I heard something, that's hearsay. So the council is hearing actual from people. The Oak Lane people who spoke, he spoke about what he saw and witnessed. So again, that information is in front of this council. We're not just taking, speculative rumor and using that as a basis for the decision. But I just wanted to clarify that point. And with that, I apologize for delay in your public comment, but go right ahead. Sorry.
Thank you very much, Mayor. My name is Seamus Conway. I live at 12 Oak Parkway. And I'd just like to, I hear a lot of things now going on about the Airbnb, and I'd like to make a comment. What I say, I bought a property up here a few years ago, and you know, I was admiring how beautiful every place was kept here and how the people kept their property. And, you know, I admired that. And that's one of the main reasons I moved here, you know, and I just seen, you know, people, I wouldn't say elderly, but older people retiring here, settling in here around the lake and wanting to, you know, be their place to live here, you know. And I just seen a Airbnb on Oak Parkway, and right down the road from where I live. And you know, every night you get different people. The road was blocked off. The people across the street couldn't get out of the driveway. You know, I think that's where the people didn't come here and spend a lot of money here for that. You know, so you know, I could see some compromise where maybe 1 month rental or something like that. You know, like I hear people say for, you know, the taxes are very high here and stuff like that. But I just wanted to express my opinion on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
It's Bill Snyder at 14 Oak Parkway. I think it's very important as some of my neighbors are speaking here about the facts. And the fact that I saw, and my wife and I saw, and actually a couple of our neighbors, is this past weekend, a kayak came rolling up at the Airbnb, strapped on top of a car. We watched it get taken off, and we watched it go into the lake. And I know like everyone here, we're very concerned about the environmental issues, and very concerned because everyone knows how much money is spent on keeping our waters and our watersheds and everything clean. And as I say, God forbid if some, you know, ride by Lake Musconetcong, if you want to see a nightmare, you know, an ecological nightmare. God forbid something like that happens. On a second point, the gentleman, I think it was Mr. Fox, who spoke earlier, I was really impacted by what he said because emotionally he described to a T what my wife and I have been feeling since this Airbnb moved in. And we've only been, you know, this is over like 2-week period. And I went the week ago before, a weekend before this one, I went to a glider club, a banquet that I belong to. And it was the first time I ever heard, and my wife said, you know, when you were gone, she stayed home, she goes, it's the first time I didn't feel safe in my home. Because we would see, all of a sudden, our houses are on, you know, we have a single lot, so it's only 65 feet wide. Our houses are 20 feet apart at times. And all of a sudden, we would watch TV and we'd see these shadows outside of our window. And you'd look and go, who is that? And you'd try to size this up and see who it is. And at first, because we were told it was going to be there was going to be a long-term rental, I went up and introduced myself because I thought they were our new neighbors. And that's how we found out it was an Airbnb. But it is the emotional side of this, of not knowing who's in there, who these people are, who's coming, who might be coming with them, it's real. It's real. And the other thing is that I think there's a dynamic. I think one of the gentlemen here was speaking about, I think his property, he owns it, and he, I believe, you know, leases it or rents it out or whatever. I think that's a very different dynamic than an Airbnb commercial business. That person, I believe, I know if it was me, I'm going to really vet who that is that's coming into my home. I'm going to have very strict rules because I want to come back after a week and find that my home is not damaged. The other thing is that I'm going to come home and live next to my neighbors. And I don't want anything to happen to my neighbors, my neighborhoods, because we like them. We're a very close neighborhood. I mean, we know all of our neighbors up and down the block. So when it comes to a business operation, you know, an Airbnb commercial for-profit business operation, I don't think there's the vetting that happens there. Are there predators, sexual predators that you're to be notified of? Because we did have that in our neighborhood probably a decade ago, and there was a child of someone who was, sexual predator, and everyone was notified. Is that going to happen? Are there people with criminal records? We don't know. And every time we see 2, 3, 4 cars roll in there, we don't know. We start sizing it up and looking, what do we think? It's okay, maybe and that's a really bad feeling, I got to tell you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment? Okay. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. Again, we will take up the actual short-term rental again, probably in the next 2 weeks or so, but I want to thank people from both sides. It's as you can tell, there's emotions run high on both issues, but I think both camps, handled themselves with decorum, and I appreciate it. And so, again, there's arguments to be made on both sides. Both sides spoke very well to the issues, and I thank you. You've put that in front of us, and please be assured, everyone here is putting a lot of effort and thought into this. So with that, we will now move to.
Sorry to interrupt, but would you mind just explaining to us, is the short-term rental only able to be voted on if it's on the agenda, or could it come up without it?
No, it has to be on the agenda. Yeah. There'll be no sneak attacks. Don't worry.
It's a two-step process. In one meeting, it'll be introduced, and then once it's introduced, it's in the ecosphere, sort of say, and then it'll be voted on the next meeting.
The only exception would be that if there's not substantial changes from the last time, it was already introduced, I believe, so.
Oh, that's true, too. We tabled it, right?
We tabled it. We introduced. Well, we.
Oh, we didn't vote to introduce it. We tabled it before we introduced it.
I don't recall.
Introduced it, but when it came to the hearing,
With the hearing, we tabled the hearing.
tabled it at the hearing
We made a motion to introduce it, but I don't think we actually voted to introduce it, did we?
on the 9th.
No, we did. We introduced it, what
mean,
the hearing was tabled.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'd never voted, so what happens after the
Oh,
hearing, you
the
vote
hearing
on
was
it, and we
tabled,
tabled
yeah.
it.
Hearing was tabled.
Okay.
So again, if it's not substantially changed, the introduction still counts, I would think, right? And we bring it back to the hearing then, if it hasn't changed.
Okay.
But for your purposes,
It'll be on the
it will be
agenda.
on the, it will be, yeah, it'll be a hearing, and everyone will be able to speak their piece about it. So, it won't be voted on without a hearing and public, input. So with that, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.